everyone, and welcome to the English shooting live stream here at the Blue Fieldsports gunroom. As always, I'm joined with Conners from Magload, but this week is a little bit special because we have Ben and Emma Ducker from Team Ducker. So we're going to give this as an opportunity for you to ask Ben and Emma any questions about shooting on the national or even international shooting circuit, IPSC, 3-gun. Well, you do quite a lot, don't you?
As much as I can,
yeah. I mean, I think like a lot of today is going to be some stories and some interesting bits and pieces about, let's say, the stack of magazines behind us. That's going to be one to talk about for sure. But if there's any questions that anyone else has, obviously we are here to answer them, so please fire away.
Absolutely. So getting straight into it, the biggest piece of news from the last couple of weeks, well, it was the Great British Shooting Show, which we were all in attendance for various reasons and various organisations and companies. I thought it was a really good show. What about you guys?
I mean, you know, it's the first show that they've ever had an IPSC event being run at that you could go in and watch. That was the Airsoft Surgeon Level 1 match, which was great. People could walk in, have a look at it, and you two were manning the UK PSA stand outside it.
We did a couple of hours over there. Yeah. That was really good fun, actually. I think it was a good opportunity to sort of meet up with people from outside of the sport, because obviously I know quite a lot of people from inside of the sport. So to be able to sort of share that with people who aren't necessarily involved at the moment, explain to them why it's so much fun and how to get started. It was really good. Really enjoyed that.
So what sort of questions were people asking you?
I had a lot of people saying, really interested in sport, do clays, shoot shotgun. This looks really great fun. How can I start?
Yeah.
Where's my nearest club?
And for people watching at home, what would you say to them to answer the same question? Where would they go? How would this get started?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing was the UKPSA had the little cards with the club finder, which really helped because people then go online and see where do I live, because, you know, there's so many clubs around in the UK. We don't know all of them, so we don't know which ones do practical. Yeah. So actually that was really helpful for them. Yeah,
but the UKPSA Club Finder helped them find the clubs they need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if you are interested in taking up practical shooting and you're looking for a local club, head over to the UKPSA website. I believe it's ukpsa.org. Alex might correct me. .co.uk. Okay. So ukpsa.co.uk. There is a club finder map on there, so you can find a local club, get in contact with them, and you should be able to start into your career in practical shooting. And talking about the action now, I think for the same reason I found that the highlight of the show. Yeah. You have a show that has been criticised for being very hunting, very shotgun heavy in the past, so it is a market that usually isn't exposed to practical shooting, so to see it there firsthand, be interested to see how many new members have come on board because of it.
I mean, I think there was a good mix of more dynamic sports being represented overall at the show, because it wasn't just you know, over and under side by side. There was firing solutions, oceanic defence, and quite a lot of other stands that are up there showcasing other types of guns. Now I know like Oceana's there all the time, but for example, I mean there were a lot more other people exhibiting there as well, which I don't know what the organisers have done to make it more inclusive, but certainly they've managed to attract a few more people in.
I'd imagine it's purely looking at the other shows, in particular the Target Shooting Show, obviously seeing a show being born out of, you know, that target practical discipline. They've obviously adapted to capture more of the market. So let us know what your highlights were of the shows, guys. If you have any questions about the show, and because you weren't there, there were loads of new products there as well.
What were your highlights? What kind of things did you guys see?
What did I see? Do you know, probably one of the best things actually was really going around and chatting with all the people over there. I think going to meet. I'm more than spent the entire day just sort of talking to people. But this is what happens when you go to a show. What was new that was there? I think
not the Gen 3 Racer.
Not Gen. Well, I did have a sneaky peek at the Gen 3 Racer. So some people might know I might have sold a couple of Gen 2s recently. There's a reason we're looking at upgrading to that Gen 3. It did look really good.
But not just one Gen 3.
Well, well, we see. I may have a couple of those on. A couple of those on order. Yeah.
So what for you is making you upgrade from? I know the biggest thing is the increased magnification. Yeah. But what does that mean for you in competition, having that extra stretch?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I wanted to make the change is because the new Gen 3 is actually a first focal plane scope rather than a second focal plane, which is Gen 2. So what that basically means is that when you move the zoom lever and you start to sort of increase the magnification, the reticle actually scales with the image. So what that means is that your subtension, so your holds, stay valid at any zoom level, whereas with a second focal plane, they're only valid at whatever you sort of calculated them at, so typically on max. That actually caught me out a little bit when I was at Blue Ridge this year, or I guess it was end of last year, 2019. So there was a stage where, since this is a 3-gun match in the States, so I had all my sort of dopes, and so I knew what my holds needed to be. But I got on the stage and I wasn't on 6x, I was on like 4.5x, and so that meant that where I'll go like duff duff duff, and it's all just like landed into, all just landed in the bushes, not hit the target. So so yeah, with a first focal plane, you're not going to have that issue. So that was one of the things that I was attracted to.
Would you say that's like the main reason for upgrading?
I think so. Yeah. I mean that and the obviously you can't say anything bad about going up to 10. You don't have to turn it up to 10 if you don't need to. There will be a lot of stages where you don't necessarily need to use maximum magnification, but it's there if you do need it. Now we're looking at moving to smaller targets for example, for mini rifle, so it could potentially have a role.
And what guns will the new Gen 3s go on?
So they will go, probably one of them will go on my Smith, which is up on the wall over here. Reason for that, we've got the World Mini Rifle Championships coming up next year in Florida, so I would like to try my hardest to qualify for the team for that, so that would be amazing. And I know they're talking about different distances. I don't think it's been set yet what the maximum will be, but it could be in 100, 120 sort of yard range. So that being the case, having a scope that can take me out to that distance accurately will be important, so I want to try and sort of cross train with that in the meantime. And then the other one will probably end up on a rifle in the US, probably on a 223 if you want to go and shoot football matches over there. Yeah. And I think it's quite helpful to have the same scope on both guns, because that will allow you to cross train a little bit more, so you get used to the eye relief, the sort of like height over ball, the offset, all that type of thing. So yeah, a little bit of cross training.
So it's not one for you and one for Emma.
No.
I wish it was.
I walked right into that one, didn't I?
So, do you both share your own the same guns when you go to competition? Because you do go to a lot of competitions together. I think every competition now.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So do you share, or do you have your own set up for you?
At the moment, we're still sharing.
Okay.
But we are in the process of getting my own. As everyone keeps asking when Ben's going to buy me my own.
Pretty much every match I go to, I get the question, so when are you going to buy again?
Exactly.
We've got the variations gone in, so we've got some empty slots, so that is that is on the radar now. Yeah.
So when you do share guns, you're at a competition. I know, having competed myself and Connors having competed as well, your gun's very personal. So, and everyone, even being a couple, you're going to have different, preferences for it. So how do you tend to get around that in a competition?
To be honest, the only thing we really change is the stock length.
Okay.
We always make sure mine is.
Midget mode.
Midget mode is the length of mine. So it's always making sure that pretty much the stock is as far in as it will go on both guns.
Okay.
So
it's like when you drive my car, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm as close as I can get to the pedals. So yeah, it's and when we go up to the line, when we do our check, red dot is on. We always make sure the stock length. So it's one of those things we kind of factor in when we do it.
Built into your routine now.
Exactly.
You load and make ready. You have to. You should always check, because the thing with these red dots, some of them turn off after 6 hours, and not everybody knows that. So you have to just double check when you get to line. Just make sure your dots on, the thing's clean, stock is set correctly, all that sort of stuff. It's one of the reasons why I spec that gun the way that I did. I'm sure we'll talk about that later on, but it's got an adjustable stock, so that Emma would be able to use that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing we really change on it. We don't change anything else. So
So guys, if you do have any questions that you want to fire away, please put them in the comment section below. I've got Cy Foster saying a bit quiet on the audio. Can we bump that up a little bit? We're trying, Cy.
The trouble is we bump it up too much and it'll start clipping and it'll sound awful.
Okay, so we'll probably just have to maintain a high level of voice for you guys.
Turn your own damn volume up.
But we do have a question from Aaron. How easy is it to get an FAC? Now, it's a question that I think we've both answered many times, so I think we're going to pass on to you. How easy did you find it to to get your FAC.
Over to me.
Yeah, you can have fun.
So I got my FAC, I think, what did it be now, like 6 years ago? Something like that,
Yeah.
I think. So the process really was to join a Home Office approved club, attend as a probationary member there for, I think when I joined it was 6 months, and you had to do a minimum of, I think it was probably 10 visits, so don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was at this particular club. I also, because I knew that the guys at that club were shooting practical shotgun, it was something I was interested in doing, I actually did the UK PSA long gun safety course. Because that was another way to sort of demonstrate a good reason for having firearms. I think I don't know whether you know this is really right, but the way I was sort of explained is that if you want to get a shotgun license, broadly speaking, the police have to have a good reason not to give that to you.
That's true.
Whereas if you want an FAC, you have to give them a good reason why you should have it.
Yeah.
So being a member of the UK PSA, having done the safety course, being a member of a Home Office approved club, then you put your application in, and then you need to get, I think it's 2 references, and you need to get your club secretary to sort of approve that, and then probably get your cabinet, get the get the firearms inquiry officer to come to your house. He'll sort of make sure he's happy with your arrangements, give you an interview, check your background. There are quite a lot of hoops to jump through, actually. I think compared with some other countries.
There are a lot of hoops to jump through, but at the same time, if you're applying for an FAC because you want to go and shoot at a club regularly, then that's most of the requirements taken care of, because it is going to be a matter of completing your probation and that sort of stuff. Yeah. You got to the only real expense is the cost of the FAC and installing a cabinet. Generally speaking, you start off with a couple of guns, you need minimal house security. As you get more guns, you need more house security, so that's something to bear in mind. Once you're up to like 3 or 4 gun safes, you might need like a proper alarm system as well.
Or an armoury.
Or an armoury.
That's what when I've always explained it in the past. Like, all of the steps aren't particularly difficult. There's nothing that I think you get to where you go, this is going to take a lot of work, but it's just knowing what you have to do beforehand.
I think the forms are confusing, because I'm helping someone else fill out their FSC at the moment, and there are like certain things, like he wants a coterminous firearms and shotgun certificate, right? Yeah. But there's a tick box for the 2 at the top of the form and also at the bottom of the form. And so you tick firearms and shotgun at the bottom of the form, but not tick them both at the top.
Right.
It's just that simple little thing, because they do tend to make admin errors when you send off variations and stuff. So it's good to make sure that all the forms filled in correctly. But that's the sort of thing where you can just bounce it off people at the club that you're joining, And this is another reason why it's good to be part of a club if you're trying to get an FAC.
And actually talking about getting an FAC and all that, actually with a Section 1 shotgun, it's quite I guess a good example of when you can share a Section 1 shotgun, because you both have your own FACs.
Yes.
And Emma has the dissident on your firearms certificate, and so do you. So you have the exact guns, you both have the same serial number on, which enables you to be able to share a Section 1 shotgun, which usually you're not able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite common. So I have a mate who shares a gun safe with his dad. So they both have almost identical firearms certificates, so they can both share the same guns.
It did actually raise some eyebrows at a local match that we went to. It's one of them his first matches. And one of the guys there was like, "Oh, you brought your cheerleader?" I'm like, "No, she's shooting." And he goes, "What's she shooting?" I said, "That." She goes, "You can't share guns." I'm like, "She's got an FAC. It's on her ticket. It's okay." It's like, "Oh, okay." So it was a little bit of a
I think people are used to the notion that people think they can share Section 1s. That's probably why the guy got a little defensive.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, in most circumstances you are right with the LBPs and the Section 1 shotguns. You can't lend them to people, but we have the circumstance where the same guns on both tickets. So it's not really sharing as such. We're both making use of it. Like I'm not lending it to Emma.
No, she's in possession of the gun that is on her ticket. It's not sharing or lending. Yeah, we get that.
So we have had a few questions come in. Heng Fan. Evening, guys. Can Ben tell us his training routine, please?
See, Heng's coming
training routine. I'll tell you what, I saw some of his videos
coming after us all. Did you see him doing his CrossFit?
I did. I know. I saw him on the range. Well, I didn't see him on the range. I saw his videos from the range. Was he getting like about a 1 second like option free start? Was that right?
Yeah, no, he's doing well on that. He won the Breeder Challenge as well.
Yeah.
So we got our eye on you, Donny.
He's just trying to get that extra level.
Right, okay, all right, Ben. Still trade secrets.
Trade secrets.
So,
Practice.
How often
Do you know,
train?
one of the most important things, and the thing that made the most amount of difference to me this year actually was kit that works. That was a massive one for me. 2017, I was shooting my M2, and obviously M2s tend to run pretty well.
Yep.
2018, I was running the Typhoon, so that was my first move into open division, and I think I had one of the first Typhoons in the country, and I ran it pretty hard, and unfortunately there were some teething issues with that particular gun. Yes, that was one of the teething issues. Okay, so this is something which some owners of the sort of first generation of Typhoons may be familiar with. So I was at a match in Northern Ireland, and I bought some spares for the gun. So fortunately, I did have a spare one of these. But on the Gen 1, there was no what's the new one? It's got like a channel cut in here, and it's got like a wall built into the so this is the action bar if you didn't recognise it. So basically, gases come out. So the barrel goes through here, gases come out, bang on a sort of pop, blows this back. Then the bolt sits on top of that, whole thing goes back. So there's a lot of force going through this surface here. And what happened with the Gen 1s was the welds weren't particularly deep, and what happened to mine was in the middle of the stage it sheared. So this basically disconnected, shot all the way back up to the receiver, compressed the spring, stage over. We had to pull the gun apart, hammer it at the side of the stage just to get this thing off.
Jeez.
Fortunately, I did have a spare, and I was able to continue and finish the match. But having paid, I don't know how much money. I mean, fortunately, it was, I say only Northern Ireland. It's still a flight and a hotel and all the rest of it. You wouldn't want to have your entire weekend spoiled just because something broke. So top tip there is to carry spares, not just Typhoons, not bashing Typhoons, but just always carry spares. I've got a massive bag of spares for that thing as well.
I mean, I carry enough spare parts for my Supernova to almost rebuild it apart from receiver and action.
Yeah, pretty much same thing.
Receiver and barrel.
A lot of people will also have a spare gun as well. I've seen more and more people take 2 guns to a match. You know, you travel all that way. Like even say Scotland, the Scottish Championships in the UK.
Well, it's an important match as well because it's not just about being able to say I didn't waste a trip up here. Like if you actually want to try and achieve a result in the match or in the league, you need to finish the match. So you need a gun that's going to run. Yeah. So I made the decision at the end of that season to move across to that thing. That was based on going to the Shotgun World Champs in France. Yep. I met a guy there who you might know called Josh Fralick. Yep. So he shoots one of these, and I think he did all right in that match, as I recall. So we're talking about the world champion. So it's, so Josh Fralick, he shoots a distant arms, and I thought, well, if it's good enough for the world champ, then it's probably going to do all right for me as well. So it didn't take much persuading. I actually was fortunate enough to meet up with Lan and Mike, the 2 guys that run the company. They were in France. We was able to have a look at some of the different options, and I think an order was placed within sort of 3 weeks of getting home. So yeah, it's actually, it took a little while for them to build it, and it took a little while for the thing to get sent across. It's my 1-year anniversary of having that today. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I picked up exactly 12 months ago.
Brilliant. Perfect timing for the stream
on my Facebook this morning.
Well, I'm sure you know the KL12. Loads of people talk about it. Everyone knows about it. It's quite say a unicorn gun on the scene. Like you're drawn to them when you see them on the circuit. So I'm sure at some point later this evening, if you guys are up for it, we'll go over onto the healing bench and you can sort of show all the different features, because you did spec like every aspect of this rifle.
That's one of the cool things about this particular type of gun. It is not cheap, but it's bespoke. So with anything you're going to get built to your spec, somebody is going to do every single thing exactly how you want it and get it right. So I haven't shared any pictures, but if anyone's interested, come and find me on the circuit. I'll show you my phone. But the first time that gun was painted, I'd spec'd it out a bright orange, as you see on the table, and it came back more of a sort of terracotta pink colour. Because I think they sort of, you know, to try and get it to me on time, because I intended on using it for a match out in the States. They did get it to me on time, but I don't think it was quite baked correctly. So I went back, I spoke to Lan, and they spent an awful lot of time and effort getting this colour to work. So it's got like a sort of metal flake and a sort of like pearl in the paint.
It's a beautiful
like out in the sunshine.
We'll take it over to the healing bench in a bit.
Yeah, we'll have a closer look.
Have a look at the shine on that. I'm really pleased with how it turned out.
It's like metallic paint, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's one hell of a gun. But yeah, that's the Distant Arms KL12. But we're going to have a closer look at that on the healing bench later. Yeah. But
now there's not many of these in the country. There's less than 10, I want to say.
I think there's less than 10, and I think I know who's got them all.
So back onto sort of training. So you say obviously having gear that
works. Yeah. That's like the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your routine? How many times are you out a week on the range? I guess it's as much as you can, but what do you try and structure yourself to do?
So I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years now, and for the most part, I do find it difficult to find time to train. My first sort of 3-4 years on the circuit, all my training was just going to matches because I was trying to shoot pistol, rifle, and shotgun. And I started off doing NRA, and then I started doing UK PSA as well. It meant that all my weekends were sort of taken up with doing multiple disciplines. More latterly, I have come to realise that unfortunately, much as I would like, it is not really feasible to try and do everything. So the pistol shooting has taken a little bit of a back seat the last couple of years, and I'm focusing on the long gun. So the mini rifle and the shotgun. Shooting obviously this is an AK platform, but it is still an open gun, box fed, means that there's a lot that's in common between that and the AR. So things like your stance, movement around the stage, that type of thing is common between the two platforms.
Sure.
So that definitely helps. One thing that is interesting though is the magazine angle. So if you're somebody with a shot an AR that then comes to shoot an AK, trying to get that magazine in, it's just a subtly different angle. You've got to come back instead of straight up. So a little bit of practice on that. So when I first got it, dry fire, massive. So just in the lounge, just sort of lay out some pillows on the ground to sort of catch the magazines, and then catch the magazines. And then we would just like just like stand and like and then unload and just keep doing the reps.
Building muscle memory.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, not only muscle memory, but also muscles, because like to be able to load one of these guns quick, you want to be able to keep it in your shoulder, ideally. So I'm very fortunate. I had a lot of training from Stu Saunders, who was the British champion in 2017 with a Typhoon, and he was kind enough to show me some of the tips and tricks in terms of using an open gun. So things like where to place it on your shoulder, so less of a bladed stance and more of a sort of square on stance, and things like when do you do your reload, so do you do it as you leave the position, or as you arrive in your next position, or do you do it on the run? How square to the target should you stand? And actually, in terms of those reloads, do you want to keep it up or bring it down? Because what I used to do was to bring it down, because that Typhoon was quite heavy and I didn't really have the muscle for it. I'd have to kind of hook it underneath my armpit like this, drop the mag, just stabilise the gun and get the next one in. And then, but the problem with that is that the mag well is obviously connected to the lower receiver, which is under your armpit, and your arm's moving, so it's always going to be a slightly different position. It could be slightly further forward, slightly further back. If you keep it up in your shoulder when you do your reload, it is always in the same place, because you've been there, drop, and it's going to be in the same place. It makes it repeatable. So it takes out some of those variables. So if I was going to give somebody who's new to shooting one of these a tip, I would say get your magazine changes down, just do some dry fire home.
And actually, sorry, I was going to say, something that helps you take the weight is the palm shelf and the grip. Yeah. So that's an important modification to anyone who wants to sort of take
So again, just so I don't know if it can be seen, it's this chunky bit on the bottom of the grip which allows you to, well, why don't you show them your stance on...
Oh, okay.
Go on, up you get.
Right, okay. So my stance would shoot. Make sure it's the right thing. It's the right haven't it? So my stance would probably be about there, and then I've got the mag release on my thumb here, so I'll be able to drop and then. Didn't even knock my Pepsi down.
And that is, it's locking into the base of your hand, so you can hold it.
I have done some training, so as I can actually hold the thing out, but. Again, this is what Stewie showed me. If you bring it into your shoulder, I've got a nice grippy butt pad on here as well. Bring it into your shoulder, you've got 4 contact points while you're shooting it. So you've got your left hand, your right hand, your sort of shoulder, and your cheek. When you take your hand away, you've still got 3 points of control. So it is quite tiring to sort of stand here static like that, but you're never going to do that in a match. You're going to be more dynamic. It's one of the reasons why dry fire is quite tiring. But yeah, that's probably where it'd be.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Well, talking about dry drills, Yul George has asked, based on the lovely weather and lack of practical shotgun and lack of ranges even to practice in regards to practical shotgun and mini rifle, what dry fire drills do you do or perform on a regular basis to keep the required skills sharp? So you've said about, obviously, magazines. What other things can you do at home in the living room to...
with a shotgun.
With a shotgun.
So this was a tip. Again, I think it was. It's even one of Josh Fralick's videos or on a podcast. I think it was one of his podcasts. He was talking about what you can actually do if you buy some of those IPSC targets, just paper targets, or you can just print them out on a piece of paper if you want. Various different sizes to simulate different distances. Then just a bit of blue tack or tape and just sort of put some up around your lounge. And then what this can help with is things like doing your option 3 start, for example. So you can sort of come in, load, and then come up onto a target. And you can also help practice transitions. So you can get the cadence of bang, bang, bang if you've got to sort of shoot across an array, or if you know you've got to swing from a target to another target that's quite a long way away, making sure you can swing and stop, and making sure that you can kind of keep both eyes open, index where you're going to go next, come across and stop. So so our lounge for a long time did have, how many? I can't remember how many, but
are you ready?
Stand across Christmas time, it's just it's just something to do, isn't it? Really. So,
come round, they're like,
what is that there?
If you're finished, then no show clear.
You guys can say that during the stage. Was that look like boards?
Option 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, I just caught the end of it. I think that was from Borders last year. Yeah, that was quite a fun, short stage, but sort of 6 targets. So on a stage like that, because the time is so short, everything really matters, like a lot. So if you can get your time to first shot down from 2 seconds to a second, you could be saving yourself a fairly decent percentage on that stage. So but they do stuff to you though. Every sort of stage's got something a little bit different. So this one, for example, it was an option 3, and there's just 6 targets in front of you, but you had to sit on this big oil drum. So that means that you're sort of like, your legs are in a different place, so that means your mags sit slightly differently. So sort of reaching, they do something just to sort of change it up a little bit. So I think it keeps it interesting though.
It's one of the things I reiterate quite a lot on the performance coaching courses that we do is practice the things that you don't practice, because that's what they're going to throw at you. Everyone practices picking up a gun from the table. Have you tried picking up a gun from the table while you turned away from it? Have you tried sitting on a barrel and picking up or whatever it takes? Talking about targets spread around the room and all that kind of stuff, mine was far more innocuous because I used to train with just blue tack blobs.
Okay.
I couldn't afford paper for my printer, so it's just I could spread out blue tack blobs, and it was very easy for me to move it around. And also, time to first shot, practicing that dry at home, coming up on a blue tack blob because it's a much smaller target means I'm getting on there more precisely. And it's one of these things that people forget when you're training at home. It's all about taking it slow, dialing in the technique first, and then building up the speed as you get the technique down, not trying to go fast right from the off.
No, you won't learn anything by going fast and getting it wrong.
Something I will say about dry drills, something you absolutely must buy is a proper shot timer. There are apps you can get for your phone as well, but something that lets you do a part-time, because a lot of the things you're going to want to do at home, you're not firing shots, you're not going to be able to record it. So for instance, if you're doing quad loads, you'll be able to set yourself a part-time of 3-4 seconds, whatever it is, and see if you can do your load before the beep ends, and that's something that's invaluable for training at home.
Well, we've been doing it recently here before we went to the airsoft surgeon match. We were practicing, you're saying, guns on the table. We were practicing just like picking it up, getting the magazine in.
Actually, saying that with pistol, because it's quite a new discipline to me, I actually discovered a few things just doing that dry drill where actually, you know what, putting it just slightly like this makes it almost twice as fast.
And then you can also transfer that to just general loading, where the position of the gun is, how you present the magazine and things like that.
Gun manipulation is one thing that you will only ever get down with practice. Now, yes, you have to know how to do it properly, but even bag technique can be refined just by dry drilling it at home and then going into the club, or to the range, or to a class, and then having someone just dial it in for you, dial in the way you're doing stuff. Like, it's really simple. The most common thing I see people loading under the arm. There was this thing that was spread about quite a while ago of bringing the gun down to the ammo, so it's a short distance to travel, when actually what you want to do, while you bring the heavy thing down to the light things, bring the light things up to the heavy thing, keep the gun up, keep the gun high, keep your head up and looking at targets. But that's a really easy thing because people know the technique, it's just a slight tweak to it after they've been dry drilling it for months on end, to just go, okay, now bring it up here and see how much faster it is. The other thing to do, bear in mind, is when you're dry drilling at home, it's very easy to get lost in the drill and actually lose how to apply it to a stage. So people drilling, loading at home, getting really focusing on the gun. There's no point focusing in on the gun because your head has to be up and looking at targets and stuff like that.
Well, you can usually spot that on the circuit, people that are really proficient with the gun, and they've done all the drills, but tying it all together in a stage, and it just all falls apart.
But drills will get you a long way. You just need to just bear in mind that practical shooting in general is a holistic thing. You need to practice all aspects of it. I mean, half the battle is stagecraft and the head game, let alone shooting skill.
So back onto the questions. We have a question from Alex actually. has Emma ever beaten you on a stage?
Well, I tell you what, why don't I answer it? Because there's a stage that she's beating you. We're not shooting at the same time.
Yeah. Like, you shot that really clean, to be fair. That was really nice and clean. Like, I funnily enough, didn't send you the video of me fluffing that stage. There does exist a video of Ben fluffing that stage, yeah. I think that was one of the ones where I was pushing a little bit.
Yes.
You know, I was having a good match that day, and I was pushing, and I think it, you know, we had a look at on the shot timer. If you take up the massive top up that I had to take because I'd missed the target and had to go back, it would have been, you know, within the top couple of places on that stage. But as it wasn't. So well, should have would have covered, but I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually remember that stage from the Masters as well, because when I go to a match, I always pick a couple of stages to be a gamble stage, like to really push on. And that one, because it's a short stage and very, very blaggy, I opened the choke right out, put some nice heavy loads in, and just went up as fast as I can. Ended up taking 2 top-ups and still finishing like 90-something% on the stage, which really helped me towards the end.
And a question from Si Foster: what's the base loads for PSGs for PSG, and do any of you use SG or BB in practical shotgun?
Oh, that's an interesting question, isn't it?
So that's for anyone not getting the abbreviations, that's buckshot and slug.
So SG is a size of lead shot, and it generally equates to double aught, it does equate to double aught buckshot, which is the most commonly used form of buckshot in our sport. Most ranges will actually specify you're only allowed to use it, and they will. Whilst the rules say 8 to 12 balls, most ranges will specify 9-ball buckshot for some weird and arbitrary reason.
Funny enough, not at the Worlds.
No, because people they're aware that Orlandi and the likes of that are making 8-ball buckshot, which is very popular.
They had more.
They had more.
Yeah.
Oh right, so it wasn't 8-ball or 9-ball. They had what did they specify?
I don't think it was specified. It just had to be buckshot.
Oh, okay.
So I think there was
yeah. So the people going up there was like crazy amounts of
smaller. Because then you're more likely to get 2 alphas out of it rather than having a nice payload, which is what mine.
So actually, it's a really good point, but it's something for off the stream. I've actually moved away from shooting 8-ball buckshot because of donuts. I'm going back to 9-ball for a more random spread. I'm just choking out on it because you get a tighter pattern once you find that right choke for it.
Well, I believe there's going to be a 9-ball buckshot being released very soon, isn't there?
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Are we not?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I got a message this morning that we are.
Ben said before we started the stream.
Oh, we are talking about it.
I spoke with.
All right, we're talking about it.
So we're all good.
Ely have been hard at work developing Alpha Elite. There are lots and lots and lots of hands involved in the development of it, which is fantastic. It means they're listening to all the shooters.
This is the first practical, dedicated shotgun load.
This is the first. It's not. It's definitely the first one from a UK-based company.
Okay.
Definitely the first one from a company who's known for making actually half-decent ammo. Lots of people have tried, and also we know that companies like Gameball have made practical loads for other companies. It's been rebranded and exported. Nothing in the UK. But Ely have been working hard on the Alpha Elite. We've seen really good results from it so far. Super consistent shot to shot. Like we're seeing variations of less than 10 feet per second shot to shot. They're dialing in the power at the moment, which I think they've actually got dialed down. It's being released in a 28-gram 7.5 imminently, and will be available in more loads.
Again, I spoke with Carl this morning, and the first batches are rolling off the production line today. So it's literally gone in production this week, and it will be in shops before. I don't know if it's going to be before the end of February, but certainly before the end of next month, it will be available to buy. Are you going to talk about the buckshot?
Let's talk about the buckshot. So
they got some alien tech coming. It looks pretty cool.
So it's again, they went out and did the right thing. They asked lots and lots of people what the correct thing to do was. I'm sure they got a million different answers, but they've settled on, thankfully, my preference, as well as quite a few others, I'm sure, which is a 9-ball buffered buckshot, fairly low velocity. So we're probably talking about 540-550 power factor on the buckshot. Which is great. Buffered 9-ball means we're going to get almost single holes.
It's going to be brilliant. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to trying that out.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter that there's not many people who are making decent buffered buckshot for practical. the best buckshot you can buy in the country is still always going to be those hand-loaded by the likes of Andy Duffy and Kev Strowger.
Yep.
However, this is bringing it to everyone. Anyone can walk into a shop and buy this buckshot for competition use.
It's going to be better than what's currently available. But of course, like with anything that's, you know, hand loaded or homemade or whatever, you can't put, you know, on a production line, you can't put the same attention to detail into every single cartridge.
Well, actually, I beg to differ, because looking at the consistency shot to shot that we're getting off of Alpha Elite, if they can put that same consistency into the production of their buckshot, who knows? Now, I have had a quick squeeze at what's actually inside the case. The buckshot doesn't look like it's that super polished stuff that we're seeing in some of the home loads. But if that's the only downside, I'm happy to go for that, because you know, you buy some ammo off of the people hand loading and it's probably like 10 or 15 rounds.
Yeah, if you know who to buy it from.
Exactly.
And,
But if you're when you're buying ammo for training, you can actually go out and get, you know, 4 or 5 boxes of stuff, maybe even, God forbid, a slab of buckshot, and go out and actually train with it. And actually, I think we might see more people shooting buckshot stages when it's more accessible and more people are actually training with it.
Yeah, we used to call it a lock shot, because it would just do whatever whatever it wanted. And I think one of the other things that's really interesting about having a practical specific buckshot load is that it's not designed for shooting at a buck. Okay, we're not hunting with this. All we're trying to do is to either knock down a steel plate or to make some holes in a piece of paper. And so you don't want it to be hugely overpowered. You want something that's going to be able to enable you to complete the stage to the stage brief, you know, as to the best of your ability, which doesn't involve having excessive amounts of recoil. So really looking forward to trying that out.
I have high hopes of it. Hopefully we should be getting our hands on it in less than a week.
Soon, very soon.
Less than a week, we'll have it done.
And we will, as soon as we get the okay from Ely, we're going to be putting out as much as we can, because we know people are interested. A real quick question, I think that can be answered. Phil Harris, can you start taking lessons before you get your FAC, like you can with clay shooting? Now, as the only one without an FAC on the table, I can say yes, you can, because you can go and buy you can't, but you can go and use a Section 2 shotgun. Yes, you can't do your quad loads, but you can start practicing your dual loads. I'm going to be competing on the UK PSA circuit this year with a Section 2 to begin with. Hopefully we'll move on to Section 1. And a lot, you know, I've already made the transition previously, so going from Section 1 to Section 2, a lot of what you learn with Section 2 is still applicable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once you get dual loads down and you've got the technique down properly, it's really not that much of a stretch to push it to a quad load.
And like you said earlier, actually one of the biggest things is stagecraft. And yes, it does differ in terms of your loading and how many you can shoot in a row, but you still get that experience of breaking down a stage, identifying where you're going to shoot from, where you're going to load, and actually, if anything, with the Section 2, you get more loading practice. Well, actually, so something I find is that people are slow. The slowest part of loading for a lot of people is the mount and the dismount. And actually, dual loading all the time means you're mounting and dismounting constantly. And that is great. Getting down and up is much more important than loading quickly, because you might be able to smash those cartridges in there really quickly, but if it then takes you 1 to 2 seconds to find your shot thereafter, after having mounted it, it's all for nothing. If you've shaved a quarter of a second off of your load, but it still takes 1.5 seconds longer than everyone else to take your next shot. And also with mini rifle, so that's obviously with practical shotgun, but if you're interested in mini rifle, as long as you're a member of a club or technically under the mini rifle exemption, anybody can go and shoot a mini rifle. So you can go onto the UK PSA circuit, and again, something that I'm starting this year, and I'll be using the same gun as everybody else. So yeah, without an FAC, you can most definitely get into the sport, and you actually instruct a lot of people. You've passed a lot of people through safety courses with Section 2 guns.
Oh yeah, the vast majority of people coming on safety courses are using Section 2 guns because they're doing it as part of the requirements of getting their Section 1 shotgun.
Same as me. Exactly the same. Mine with Mossberg.
I feel so sorry.
I know. I didn't make it easy. No. To be fair, like the fellow that actually loaned me that gun, really nice guy. Really appreciate it. But I give it straight back after. I wasn't a big fan. But personally,
one directly from Rowan Brown to Conners. Any beard grooming tips? You're assuming that he grooms.
That's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is that what I do is safe for work.
How do you think we get mag lube? It is.
It's all about squeezing, ringing it out.
And I'd just like to interrupt as well. I'm sorry for the random gunfire that they would have heard on that. I tried to play another clip of Ben doing some knee rifle, but I only got audio on it. So
okay.
A whole load of...
Yeah, we're not being shot at. Yeah. It's fine. It's all good.
But did it sound cool though?
It sounded cool, but a little weird. So now everyone knows why.
All right. So I think we've been at the table for quite a while now. Maybe we should break it up and head over to
the healing bench
with the K.
The KL12. Yeah, let's have a breakdown.
Let's start when you get over there. One question from James. Do shotgun muzzle brakes work?
Try being an RØDE, then tell me.
And where do you get them in the UK? So if Connors and Ben, if you want to head over to the healing bench, you can talk about the muzzle brake. And Connors, if you want to talk about actually how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
The physics behind it.
Let's get into it. All right.
So if you are joining into the stream for the first time, we have a workbench which Connors has named the healing bench. I'll give you a closer look of the guns and give you a bit of a breakdown up close and personal. Are we nearly ready? Are we still on us?
Okay.
Right, over to the healing bench.
Cool. All right. Welcome over to the healing bench. We have a bit more space today so that you can see both Ben and I. We'll be chatting about the camera. Hello, mate. Right, so first things first, the gun is clear, the gun is flagged. We will be removing the flag as we go through. Let's address that first question. Do shotgun muzzle brakes work?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, very much.
I do want to highlight that there are a lot of shotgun muzzle brakes that don't work. But when a shotgun muzzle brake works, it really works. I mean, why don't you tell us about some of your experiences?
So, yeah. I used to shoot a Benelli M2, didn't have a muzzle brake. Then I went to using the Typhoon. Initially didn't have a muzzle brake, then I fitted the Gen 1 muzzle brake. Definitely made a difference. That one was designed to jet the gas kind of to the right and up to kind of stop the gun from rising and sort of twisting, so that was quite good. Then when I shot this, it's just phenomenal the amount of difference. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, this guy is, he can probably tell me how this thing works. But basically, if you have a, can you see this?
Yeah.
The amount of ports that we've got on here, so we've got 4 on the top, 4 there, 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. And well, there's probably 4 things I can tell you that proves it works. First one, you can feel it. Secondly, the amount of sort of blast that you get on your hand. Thirdly, the amount of complaints that you get from the ROs from standing in the muzzle blast, and kind of
I tell you what,
it
it does clear your sinuses, that's for sure.
Yes, it certainly will. But then the other thing, you can genuinely see it, and I don't think I actually sent this video, unfortunately, but I do have one from when I was shooting in French Nationals in 2019, and so I was, sort of doing my thing, and you can actually see, because it was such a crisp early morning, there was shadows against the back of the range, but it was still quite a little bit misty, and you can actually see vortex rings coming out here, coming out that side, and also shooting straight up. It's like smoke that travels like way faster than you might expect smoke to travel, and it's just, yeah, I don't know what that really means, but I know it works,
like,
basically.
You can see it working, but actually this has got all the hallmarks of a good muzzle brake, because we're dealing with supersonic flow, which means the first thing you need to do with supersonic flow is actually start to slow it down. So what you've got here is you've got these bleed off ports at the back, which take the fastest of that gas as the wad pushes through the solid section and builds up some back pressure to slow the gases down. Then from there you've got the big ports directing gas up, and also very key, significantly smaller ports on the side, which give you the handedness of the brake, give that slight push from the side. Bearing in mind it's only a slight push you need from the side, not a big one, and the big push is down to keep that muzzle shooting flat. And this, as I say, has all the hallmarks of a well-designed muzzle brake. Now, when you ask, does it work? The only way to know that is to go out and shoot it. However, I know that this muzzle brake works. This gun shoots incredibly flat, better than most of the other distance out there who don't, the ones running the brake previous to this one, actually. Why don't you talk us through some of the modifications you've made to this? Because I can see some homegrown mods, some things that you've asked distance spec out for you. What have you gone?
Okay.
What did you spec on this gun to personalise it to the way you wanted to shoot?
Okay. So I think probably the best thing will be if we sort of start at the back and work our way forward, if that works. So so what we've got at the back, this is a Magpul CTR stock, I believe, and it's got this cheek riser on it. The reason why it has a cheek riser is because of the height of the pick rail versus where the buffer tube is. It's a little bit higher than on an AR, so in order to get the proper cheek weld, it's best to have one of these things on there. As mentioned, I went for the adjustable stock. I think Dissident is quite well known for having a fixed stock. It's quite a distinctive sort of skeletonized style that they use. But in order to have flexibility, both for myself and Emma to share it once she got her FAC, but also so that I had flexibility for if I wanted to shoot a stage weak-handed, or if there was a particular reason why I wanted to take a bit of length out of the stock, it does give you the option to do that. I've got this, unfortunately it's a bit dirty, but I've got this limb saver butt pad on the back there. That's sort of nice, grippy and soft. It provides the benefits of taking just a little bit extra recoil out, but also grips onto your shirt so that when I'm trying to do those reloads, it helps with that.
That's actually very counter to the way you would shoot a tube-fed gun, where you actually go for a slippy butt pad to get in and out the shoulder quickly.
No,
what
you're saying, leave it up there.
Yeah, because you're reloading with the gun in your shoulder. You don't want that gun to move once it's mounted.
Absolutely. Moving forward from there, obviously. We've had a bit of work done versus how this gun comes out of the factory. So it's had a conversion put on it, so it will accept a mil-spec buffer tube on there, rather than the sort of traditional sort of wooden or plastic stock that would have come with an AK style shotgun. I also asked for this palm rest to be added. A lot of these modifications are very similar to what Josh Fralek was running, so if it works for him, it works for me. So that again will sort of support your hand a little bit as you're going for those loads. We then had some choices to make around some of the additional controls. So these are very different from what you would tend to find on an AR platform shotgun. So for example, on the left hand side here, what I've got is a magazine release. So on an AK, again I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the mag release flap kind of sits underneath here. This is just a paddle that comes straight through the mag well and engages with a ledge on the back of the magazine. So the normal way of changing an AK mag would be to grab that and pull the magazine out. So what they've done here is they've basically added this thumb release, which means that you can change the magazine without having to sort of reach up there with your hand. The other change that we've had put on this is the extended safety. So as standard, you just get this bit, I think, on an AK shotgun. What's been added is this kind of IPSC sort of release, I think they call it. The idea being that when you start a stage, just nudge it with your palm like that and it comes straight off. The next thing we've got is this, which is a bolt lock button. So there is a button up here which you can press to lock the bolt open. I've had this extended piece put on so that I can actually lock it using my index finger. So if I pull down on that and pull the bolt back, I can get that to lock. I will take the flag out just now just to demonstrate. Again, if you have an option 3 start or if you shoot to bolt lock, once you get the new magazine on, you can close the bolt quite easily. Another modification that we've got in here is an ALG trigger. I don't know a great deal about them other than they're nice and crisp and smooth and great. So
that's all you need to know, right?
Yeah, as a shooter, that's all I need to know. That like for a shotgun trigger, that is just unreal. I'm really happy with that. That's for bird shot, doesn't make that much difference unless you've got a really fast stage where you're just sort of trying to hose something down. Where it really comes into its own is those long distance slug targets. So if you really need to sort of break crisply as you sort of settle on the centre of that target, a trigger like this is going to help with that a little bit. So what's next? So Fled Magwell, again I think all of this stuff is new. They put that on, left hand sided charger and handle. I had the right hand side charger and handle left on. I know some people do take those off. There are some circumstances where it's helpful to have that. I didn't see any benefit in removing it, so I left mine on. What else have we got here? Oh, so obviously we've got the Vortex Razor. The base pad on this one has been modified, so you'll be able to see on the back of that, there's normally a little tab here that's been taken off, and the reason why they do that is so that you can actually do this right. So you can open up the gun and you can, should have reset that trigger. Yeah, that's basically it, field strips. And if you've ever seen a field strip on a Typhoon F12, you can understand why I prefer this one. It's a little bit quicker. So this basically means you can strip it down without having to move the sight. I probably won't do this just now, but you can move this lever up, take this piece out, and then the gas puck sort of lives in here. So again, nice and easy to sort of take down and clean.
Well, the handguard's all been modified to fit as well.
Yeah, so this is a JP handguard. I think it's designed for an AR initially, and then what they do is they just sort of chop the inside of this out just to accommodate that. It's nice and slim. We were able to go for this handguard because of this new Phoenix compensator being nice and slim. This handguard, you can actually undo all the bolts and it'll slip over the top of it. So obviously that muzzle brake is permanently attached to that barrel. Final things we've got, we'll talk about the comp.
So actually this actually makes up part of the barrel length.
Yes, yeah, correct, yeah. So we've got a sling attachment point at the front, and then I use this one at the back, so when I'm shooting 3 gun and have to have the gun slung, we can use those. So yeah, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot done to the gun. Tell us a little bit about your home stuff.
So this is a modification I had added. So I'm used to shooting a AR, and for those that are familiar with the AR platform will know that the mag roll sits about here, and the mag release button is about there. So if you want to drop the magazine, you'll be shoot, shoot, shoot. Extend your finger, press the mag release button. There's quite a lot of material there. If you're not on the mag button itself, there's a lot of material around that magazine well. It can be useful, obviously in IPSC, as you move about the stage, you need to make sure your finger is clear of the trigger guard. What I wanted was something that would make it more safe for me to keep my finger clear of the trigger and reduce any risk that it might slip into the trigger guard. So what I did is I added this piece of moulded plastic around here. It then helps me if I'm trying to, do something and steer the gun around. I've got somewhere to sort of rest my finger on. So that's been added because otherwise, if you see the thickness of this metal here, that's basically the thickness of the trigger guard as it goes around.
You're supporting the weight of the gun on that thin piece of metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it just makes it a bit more ergonomic.
But you have forgotten to talk about the single most important modification that you have done to the gun, which is indeed these stickers.
Oh, the stickers. Yeah.
The Team Ducker stickers.
There's 3. Yeah, one, two.
Where's the third one? Oh yeah. I'm surprised that hasn't burnt off yet.
So I had to put that one on there so that when you put it in the rack, you know whose it is.
As if you wouldn't already.
Indeed. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that's us over at the healing bench. Let's switch back to Callum and Emma at the table.
So we'll get this back together.
Right, welcome back to the main table. I'm sure Conners and Ben will join us shortly. But while I've got Emma on your own here, we did have a question specifically for Emma from Gail, which is, from a woman shooter's point of view, what would be your #1 piece of advice to other women competitors?
I would definitely say building up your upper body strength. That's something I've really, really struggled with. It's making movements a lot harder, a lot slower, having to put the gun under my arm to be able to load, like we were talking with the KO. Yeah. I can't keep that in my shoulder at all. It has to go under my arm to load it. Even the mini rifle, we've now taken the scope off. I can just about keep it up in my shoulder, but it's difficult. Doing manoeuvres, running backwards, side to side. Ben can run with the gun out in one arm like that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to put it under my arm, put it up here. So it's a lot more extra movements that I've got to do because I don't have the strength to be able to hold that gun, either one, the mini rifle or the shotgun, in kind of one hand. So that's something I'm really, really working on at the moment. I go to the gym 5 times a week. I do dry fire practice every day with the mini rifle at the moment. And it was actually something that Lanny Barnes, she does lots of trainer videos on Facebook. And it was one of the ones that I was watching from her, and she was saying just 3-4 minutes, a couple of times a week, just holding the gun up in the shoulder, getting the muscle memory, just building that. So I do that kind of 3-4 times a week.
And have you noticed a difference in doing that?
Yeah, so I time myself.
Okay.
So first I could do it for 1 minute and I'm like, oh, my arms.
Yeah.
And now I can get it for 3 minutes and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is kind of hurting now, but it's okay.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of just building that up gradually.
Sure.
And again, things like being able to pick it up from the table. I have to pick it up with 2 rather than just being able to pick it up with 1. And again, it's those extra seconds all add up.
Sure.
So that's one of the things I think really would help if things either making it lighter or building your body strength to be able to do those movements.
Yeah. Yeah, because that KO is, picking it up here is not a light gun.
No.
So
you've not held them before, have you?
No, I've got fairly familiar with Kanchas in the past.
Yes.
But yeah, it's still quite, from all the cutouts and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's something.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I've heard that said before, all the cutouts and the skeletonization on it. And actually, if you look at the gun, there are no cutouts and there is no skeletonization. Apart from where the left-hand charging handle mod has been done, the receivers are pretty much unmodified. I mean, they're pretty high-quality build receivers. But
they're very heavyweight receiver. Yeah. Someone told me that it was made out of the RPK receiver, which is like a light machine gun, I think. Wow. So it's heavier than a sort of typical stamp AK.
Yeah.
So if you were to weigh the receiver of that versus another sort of AK pattern shotgun, that one probably is going to weigh more.
I think the notion behind it being skeletonized is generally because they all have AR4 ends fitted to them, which probably make the gun look like it's skeletonized, when actually, because normally you'd expect it with a chunky, blocky handguard on there.
It'd have some plastic molding.
But of course it's not.
Well, that's it. I was looking at the fore end of the KO and all the holes, but I guess as you say, coming from a rifle handguard, it's.
Well, if you say as it is, it's a JP handguard, and those are all attachment points to things, really, aren't
Absolutely.
they? And actually, as rifle handguards go, that one is exceptionally chunky. It's really quite beefy, isn't it? But you've got a lot of gun to throw around.
It's a shotgun, like it is. Yeah.
Hello, Darla. And I guess a quick question to Ben. Your George has asked, is there a palm shelf available for the F12?
Is there a palm shelf? Yes. So the F12 will or can take AR-based pistol grips. So you may need to modify it a little bit. You might need to take a little bit of material out of the inside. So basically where the inside of the plastic pistol grip will attach onto the receiver, you might need to take a little bit out. I found that I didn't. There's a company called Ergo Grip that sell them. I know that Firing Solutions in the UK stocks them. So if you need one, so the one that I had was made by Ergo Grip, and it has it's like an adjustable shelf. So it's basically like a bolt that goes through the bottom of it, and you can sort of adjust it up and down and change the angle. So yes, you can.
Ergo Grip. So yeah, if you're interested in one, check out Ergo Grip. And you said Firing Solutions. They've got a website. They're a Magno dealer as well.
Of course they are. I think that actually brings us nicely on to a point I wanted to make about open guns. Is that open is the only division that prototypes and low production run guns are allowed in. And you do see a lot of tinkering, a lot of fettling to get things to fit that wouldn't normally be fitted onto a gun. Now the Distant is like a, technically speaking, out of the box ready built for you gun, and even then there are things that you've modified, minor things like the plastic up the front of the trigger guard, but things that you've done to customise your gun that may or may not be allowed in like standard division.
And I just want to give a shout out to Miguel. Conners and I both met.
Miguel Vincente, thank you for joining us on the stream. We will be chatting soon enough, don't you worry, my friend.
So Conners and I both met Miguel at the Airsoft Surgeon match. Fantastic guy, really passionate about the sport, which is what we love to see. Paul Robertson talking about the upcoming 18 ball load. So
not IPSC legal, go away.
So if you didn't see it, Paul joined us from the World Gun Owners Association, and we went and shot some 65 gram loads.
Never again.
We were hurting for
65.
Yeah.
Never again. He downloaded them from the 70 grams.
Yeah, usually does
70. What caliber was this?
12 gauge.
How does they?
I think later on.
No. I don't want any.
We'll show you the slow motion footage because it's quite interesting. So we had a brand spanking new Winchester SXP to shoot. We've got some of the loads coming over now.
Yeah.
And this gun was brand new. And by the time we'd finished shooting like about 20 of these rounds through it, it wouldn't unlock properly.
I can't. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised.
So the interesting thing you see when you shoot the gun, if you look at the EnglishShooting video and the slow motion footage, as you pull the trigger, it's slow motion of Callum shooting it.
Yeah.
The gun leaves Callum's hands and comes back into his shoulder.
Yeah.
And once again, Callum is left holding the short cartridge.
Paul, not satisfied with nearly breaking our shoulders with 65s, has now decided to make some monstrous 18 ball loads. So yes, I'm looking.
I just want to say, not only are these 65 gram loads, these are 65 gram loads being pushed out at pretty much the limits of what a shotgun can handle. That SXP was not in good shape.
Well, it's broken in nicely. Emphasis on the broken. Mark Jiggins, what distance do you pattern buckshot at?
All.
all distance.
Well, that's the answer, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
like,
you have to pattern it like you pattern your bird shot because you don't know what distance it's going to be.
Just go back to the 65 gram laser, so I got the footage up now.
Okay, so here we go. Alex has got the footage. That's the slow-mo of me with the SXP 65 grams. You can just watch the shockwave go through everything. Felt it down my back, up my neck. Here we go. It'll be the second shot. Oh wow. It's just incredible. Yeah. And it does amaze me the instantaneous energy that comes out of that. You know, yes, we know guns can make things go bang quite nicely, but just the raw energy that comes straight through your shoulder was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And you got away lightly. You only had like 2 or 3 shots. Paul just kept chucking them at me.
No, but the thing is I understood before I even pulled that trigger the damage that was going to do to it. I'm not going to risk more than 2 or 3 shots. Going on into the competition season because you can genuinely do yourself some nerve damage or something, shooting something like that regularly. And
we've got a question from Roy Long, and I have had expert guidance on this question. So hi all, looking to get into airsoft. Any recommendations for a pistol, gas or electric, and blowback or not? So we've got Paul Wyborn actually behind the camera, who's an expert action air shooter, and he's confirmed to me that you're not allowed electric in action air. So it would have to be gas. And it has to be blowback. Okay. So there's a few. It depends.
So you can't use a Mark 23 then?
No. So if you're getting, you say he said more generally airsoft. So in terms of skirmishing, you can pretty much take whatever you want.
I think when you're talking about pistols, it's probably still better to go for a gas blowback because there's not a lot of space in a pistol for a battery and a motor, so you're not going to get a very effective AEG pistol. Whereas gas blowback is just a generally better and more fun and interesting gun anyway.
And we seem to get a lot of questions about airsoft and action air, and certainly with us getting more into it. So we've managed to convince Paul. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into, but we will be doing a stream at some point with Paul and maybe some other members of the family if they're willing.
Okay,
to join.
So Paul, who is currently first standard in action air. We'll see what his thoughts are on action air.
Absolutely. So we'll have a whole action air themed live stream very shortly.
Right.
And actually talking about future live streams, if you are enjoying this one and you've tuned into the previous ones, some good news because we're now going to be doing them weekly. We're not going to do the 2 hours that we have been doing every fortnight, but we want to make them more regular so that you can tune in the same time every single week. So they're going to be 7:30 p.m. GMT. Here at the Blue Fieldsports gunroom for 1 hour. We might, with it 1 hour, we might go over a little bit. But you certainly get that 1 hour.
Alex is giving us daggers at the moment.
If we do, we won't have any technical support.
Somewhere between 1 to 4 hours. I think that's fair to say, right?
So it will be regular once a week, every Thursday, 7:30. So and
also I want to add, if you are enjoying the stream tonight, please hit the share button, share it to your timelines.
If you have any friends that you think would be interested in joining in and could benefit, someone starting out in practical, want to take it to the next level, well, you've got 2 perfect people.
Or any fans of Team Ducker who want to see their idols on the screen.
We've seen they've actually now got official merchandise.
Official merchandise, yeah.
So do you have a website yet?
No, it's
web store. Web store, yeah.
Pre-order only, 2 available.
Exactly. Limited edition,
So and also make sure if you are watching now and you're enjoying it, please hit the like because it does help with Facebook analytics. We want to be able to share the sport to as many people as possible, and if you hit that like button, it helps with the analytics. More people see it, more people see the sport, and hopefully the sport will continue to grow strength on strength. So please really appreciate any likes and again any shares as well. So Paul Harris again, what shotguns would you recommend that are Section 2 that can be upgraded to an FAC?
Anything.
Anything there are some
not a box fit because that's not going to work.
Well, no. But anything that you would want to shoot as Section 1, you can get as a Section 2 apart from a box fit.
Well, the 1301 Comp Pro is difficult to get in a Section 2. You can
that's true.
What about like the M2SP, because that's not going to be a Section 2, is it?
Again, actually very true. Okay, I'll take that one back. I do stand corrected.
Yeah.
So there are versions of... Let me rephrase. Let's say, no, I was wrong in my initial statement, but so you could get 1301 Gen 2. You could get a Benelli M2.
You can get a Section 2 Comp Pro, but you have to get it special ordered from the factory.
Actually, that's a really good point. No, GMK told us that if you ask them, they will send out an M2. No, it was a Comp Pro, wasn't it?
But
they'll probably do it for an M2 SP, I think, if you ordered it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it's a factory. They can just swap out the options. Yeah. But anything custom with Beretta, you will be waiting a long time. I think overall, my opinion on it would be the Benelli M2, a standard Benelli M2.
Benelli M2 is great.
Get used to it.
Let's not forget about you know, the low cost star of the show, the Stoker M3K. What was that? Something he said about being poor. But,
well, the M3K again, you can probably get the option of Section 2, but it does come. M3000, sorry. Or the M3000.
M3K is only Section 1.
Yeah, no, the M3K is only Section 1 because of that tube. Yeah. The M3000, however, is Section 2 gun,
mine,
which is very, very easy. No, yours is in the armoury. After having been battered hard today on the safety course.
I hope it's been cleaned and oiled.
It's
a Stoker, it doesn't matter.
It's literally been ridden hard and put away wet.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Bringing the phone down there, Conners.
There is going to be rust on the gun in the morning. It has been... We did have, I don't want to say torrential rain today, but it has been some pretty heavy rain out on the range, and the gun was being used on a safety course, and it has been put away in the armoury while still wet.
Oh no. But yeah, well, the M3000, the perfect example, I think, because that's why I opted to start shooting one as Section 2, because later on, can put the extension tube on it. It's like a 5-minute job, and then it's Section 1. However, I think if I was to give, if your budget isn't such a big issue, go for the M2. The M2 is a real top gun.
I'll also say that if you're looking at the M3000 route, the actual FAC tubes you need to convert it are like hen's teeth. GMK does not hold them in stock, so you will have to import it, which can be hairy in itself depending on what country it's coming from. An M2, on the other hand, is dead easy to convert to Section 1 once you have your FAC ready, as is a 1301. Does the regular 1301 comes into Section 2 as well, doesn't it?
Again, no, I think it's the funny thing is that when we went clay
shooting, you could always get an A400.
No, it's the Extrema 2, I think they call it.
So it's anything from the A400 series you can get in Section 2, and they're all completely interchangeable with 1301 components.
But I found this quite interesting going down to the clay ground here when the clay season was about. Someone turned up with it's the A400 Extrema.
It was Glenn, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did used to work at GMK. Mm-hmm. He turned up Section 2 Extrema 2, and it was £500 more than the 1301 Comp Pro, but it came with less.
Yeah.
But it's because it's a Section 2 gun.
It's virtually identical. So it didn't have the kick-off stock.
No, I think it did.
Or did it?
Might have.
Well, it definitely didn't have the lifter.
No.
And it was obviously Section 2, so restricted 3 shots. So you got less for paying.
And it was a funky green colour too.
Oh no, it was just like that bronze colour, wasn't it?
I quite liked it. I could opt. So again, that is another option.
Then again, he does drive a Honda Civic, so
he's only jealous.
Hey mate, respect the VW life.
Anyway, I won't do that again. So the Extrema is actually a good option, talking about Section 2, because it can be made quite easily into a 1301 Comp Pro. They are freely available. You will pay the additional £500 for what that £500 is for, I do not know, but they are available. You can walk into most gun shops and buy them.
If you can't buy that gun in Section 2, then that's what you're essentially paying the money for. If you want to use what is essentially a very, very good gun as a Section 2, that's the only way to get it, really, isn't it?
So you'll George save Emma from the cat. Has the cat has?
Oh, yeah.
No, she has been.
She's over there.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be back soon enough.
Yeah.
Should we talk? So there's a couple of comments actually about the Chris Defiance. Now we do have my mate's Chris Defiance in the.
Is it Chris Defiance or is it the Chris Vector? I think it was.
Oh no! All right. So there's 2 questions. There's one. Sorry, that was my mistake. So one person's asking about the Defiance, one person's asking about the Vector. Okay. So Aaron Nethersoul's asking, is there any real competition for the 1522, such as the Chris Defiance? Now, if you're not going to buy a 1522 for whatever reason, I would highly recommend a Chris Defiance. This is, as far as I'm concerned, as close to a real steel AR as you're going to get. Plus, it's got the added benefit of the barrels are interchangeable with Ruger 1022 barrels. So if you want a carbon wrap Volquartz and barrel on there, go ahead and fit it. But otherwise, these are really nice, really realistic feeling. Well, I say realistic; they are real guns, but as similar to.
You spend too much time around the airsoft, guys. That's what your problem is.
That's always one.
I actually really hate that phrase, real steel. I've given Paul an earful already.
But that's actually one of the biggest comments.
You'd have to ignore the pec box and the football grip.
But in terms of the weight,
for what it's worth, the person who owns this is serving military.
In terms of the weight, there was one of the things that initially put me off the 1522, and I think it's something that puts a lot of people off the 1522. However, less weight in a competition gun is better. It's better.
Well, this is
practical.
Especially
for female shooters.
I'm going to hand that to you. I mean, you've handled the 1522 plenty of times. And you tell me if you notice the difference in that thing.
I don't think I would.
I mean, that has got a scope with some bits on. But
I mean, it's a scope. This is all plastic. This is plastic as well. It's not going to weigh much. I mean, all the mass in there is in the scope and the mount.
But saying that the Christophides is the only gun that has made me consider switching from the 1522. But why am I going to upgrade to something that is actually technically worse for competition?
It's not worse for competition because if you're trying to cross-train with Centerfire 223, then you're going to want something that feels more similar to the weight of. Actually, okay, we have an expert here. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Well, it depends on what your priority is. I would suggest. You are quite right. If you want to cross-train, then you should use a full-weight gun.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of your options would be to get, a full steel 22. Yep. You could also get a 22 bolt conversion for your 223. You could do that if you wanted to. Those are both things that I'm looking at, because I'm looking at doing a little bit more IPSC rifle and obviously more 3-gun in the States. So I want to be able to do that cross-training. But at the same time, I want to try as hard as I can to be competitive when I'm shooting a mini rifle in the UK. So to that end, I want something that's going to make my hit factor go up. Because somebody asked me about this on Facebook a few months ago. Should you get a metal gun or should you get a plastic gun? I don't like plastic because it's not very realistic. It doesn't. But depends on what you're after. If you want something that feels like a real AR that's metal, buy one that does that. If you want to try and get the best performance in a match, all I want to consider is, will it make my hit factor go up? So is it going to get me more points per second? If it is, then I'm interested. If it's not, not particularly interested. So for me, having something that's like there are some stages where there's one at Froome a couple of weeks back. Again, I apologise, I don't think I gave you the video for that one. I know we got one from Froome, but perhaps not the one I was thinking of. You had to run down the right hand side of the stage, shoot a couple of targets, and then you had a big run where you had to sort of come back across yourself and then back forward again. So I shot my last target, dropped the mag, and then ran with the gun in one hand, nice, fast, easy, because the gun doesn't weigh anything. Round the corner, back down the next range, next mag goes in, finish off the stage. And I can do that because the gun I can hold it in one hand. So if I want the maximum hit factor, I need a light gun to be able to do that. So it depends on your priority, I would say.
And your comment about, if you're looking to be able to cross-train, go for something full metal. So I guess the answer is in the gun that you have up on the wall. But so you are foregoing that sort of cross-training in your matches in the UK for ultimate performance in matches.
So the thing that makes take part in hopefully do okay-ish. But the thing I do the most is the mini rifle. That's the one that I've got the best chance of having a decent result in. Now, is that the video? That was a minute ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
So the video being that was just flashed up, that is Froome.
That is Froome. It wasn't the stage I was thinking of, but that one did have quite a fast dynamic element to it, sort of going through a door, gun in one hand, so you did have to move quite quickly. So return to the point. Yeah, if full bore rifle was my main thing, then I would want to focus on that. As it is, we've got mini rifle worlds coming up next year, so for me, my priority is trying to do the best that I can at mini rifle, which means lightweight. And
would you say then at that point though, you're not cross-training any longer, you're looking for performance in mini rifle?
And that's sorry if I didn't make the point clear, but yes, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Exactly. Are you trying to shoot mini rifle or are you cross-training for full bore? Because they are two different things, two different objectives.
And two different guns, and actually I'd say if anything that's a pretty good reason, justification on FAC for 2 slots, is if you want a cross-training gun and you want a mini rifle.
But I would like to see actually how many people that make the comment about, it feels like a plastic, feels like a toy, go for the Chris. How many actually go out internationally and shoot 223? I'm sure it's a very small percentage. You know, so yeah, if you're after something that feels good and imitates it, yeah, go for it. If you're after ultimate performance, then
I do also want to say that one of the reasons the Smith is so good is because of its lightweight, but it does have some issues with the plastic receiver, such as flex on the Picatinny rails and things like that. However, we are hopefully going to be taking a look at the Battle Arms receiver, which is purportedly even lighter weight than the plastic Smith receiver because it's a lot thinner and it's aluminium. So once we have a good look at that, we will come back to you on it.
So going over to Si Foster's comment on the other Chris, which was
the Vector, which I'll let you take over. I didn't actually get a chance to look at it the entire show. No, I spent so much time ogling the Shadow that I didn't even look at the Vector. Moved on to the next appointment.
I got to handle the Shadow as well, and very excited as are you for that. But the Vector, I did get a little bit of jip because I said it was an AR combined with a bullpup, and I want to caveat. I want to caveat that.
Is this
was there anything about this was right?
So it doesn't matter.
I just think that the look of it, it's so funky and different.
Where's the magazine go?
It looks so funky and different. It just
Where's the action?
It reminds me of a bullpup. I don't know why, just the look of it. So the Vector for me is...
The Vector is a carbine, by definition.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes. But the Vector for me, it was designed for a different caliber and a different purpose, and obviously it's like the MP5 from HK and Numerex and the 416. Like, they are very famous guns. People want to be able to own them. Of course, you can't own the real version of them in the UK. So there is a massive market in the UK alone for people that want to be able to own these guns, or as close to owning these guns as possible. And I think the 22 Chris Vector, it is, you know, an unmodified. It's from factory, from Chris, and it's a 22 Vector. So if you want a bit of a fun gun, if you want something a bit different, and you want, you know, you lust after the full bore Chris Vectors available, then it fills that slot. As a competition gun, I really can't see it.
Well, I don't know, actually. So I actually want to disagree with you on almost every single point you
made. What else is new?
So for one, like the Chris Vector 2.2 gun, I feel is like a neutered Chris Vector, because the whole thing that makes the Chris Vector cool in its pistol calibers is the bolt dropping down into the body of the gun to counteract recoil.
Which is in the same way that the 22 HK MP5 is neutered, but you can still say, I have an MP5.
It's still straight blowback. It might not be roller delayed, but and it might not have a
I think these guns are more about the look rather than the function.
Potentially. Now, the Chris Vector is definitely an amazing gun from a technical standpoint. The 22LR is just a straight blowback system dropped into the same chassis. However, on the point of it might not make a good mini rifle, I do beg to differ. I am very keen to have a look at it because the stock to bore axis is actually negative. And I would really be interested to see and how that affects shooting. So the stock is higher than the bore axis.
And why do you think that's going to give you an advantage?
I don't know. I would like to see. Well, so it's something new. It's something different, and I would like to see how it does before discounting it off the list.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair. And
there's a lot. You do know it's a 22 though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is the version we're getting here in the UK has a decent fore end on it. So it might actually be useful. We might be able to clip bipods and things to it as well.
This is something actually John Thorne from the Silverstone Shooting Centre.
You're talking to the person who developed the muzzle brake for a 22.
I'm just saying that they don't recoil that much.
They don't.
But John, in his video, he's got one down, I think one of the first ones outside of Shield. And he took the fore end straight off, and he said that's not how the Vector is meant to be shot. You're meant to be on the magwell, basically. He said so the fore end is sort of superfluous. I don't know why they've added it on for the 2.2.
Actually, I really like the fact they've added it on to the 2.2 because it gives it some potential. I reckon you will see one or two of them on the mini rifle circuit.
I'm sure you
will. Here's the other thing.
How high up they will be, I don't know.
You're talking about taking a gun outside of its original intended purpose. Well, let me remind you that the Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 is indeed a toy. Yeah, it's sold in the US as essentially a toy gun. Over here, yes, it's the best we can get, but
I think one of the things that will be interesting to find out about that, Chris, is how the reloads will work. Because one of the things that's actually good about any AR sort of pattern rifle is that you can put a magwell on it, for example, and the magwells tend to be relatively short. I got to handle the Vector at the show, but I didn't get a magazine to see how deep it sits. in your experience, how far in does that sit? Is it something that is more like loading a pistol?
I think it's like loading a pistol, but your pistol mag is like in front of your hand.
Yeah.
So
well, they said that the so the standard, I think it's 10 round magazine that comes with it, is a flush fit.
Okay.
But then they're going to be bringing out 30 round magazines, which are going to protrude. So
interesting.
How much meat you're going to
probably have quite a lot of
it.
magazine to hold on to.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And I dare say that some company out there won't be able to make a magwell for it. So
I wonder who.
Oh, I've got no idea.
So again, please guys, keep the questions coming in. There's some awesome ones so far, but it's what helps keep the stream going. We've got one from CJ. What are the awards behind you? I guess that's not directed at me or Conners, but you do have some pretty nice looking trophies. Why don't we bring them out onto the table so we can have a closer look at them?
I can take you through these in the order.
Yep.
That they kind of came up for me. Probably that one would have been first, I expect. So this one here, I think probably a lot of people will recognise. This is a trophy from Shield Shooting Centre, which is down in Lytton Cheney, closed in 2019 unfortunately, but it was probably one of the best practical venues in the UK. I know they didn't tend to host very many sort of UK PSA matches, but in terms of the NRA leagues for pistol, rifle, shotgun, they hosted a lot of stuff down there. A lot of people spent a lot of time, really enjoyed it down there. I just wanted to bring this just in memory of Shield, just because that's where I did my safety course, where you did your safety course.
Yeah.
So that's what that one is. This one is the first IPSC shotgun medal that I won, and this took me by such surprise. It was unreal. So this one was in Northern Ireland, and it was in 2018, and it was at that match I was speaking about earlier, where the Typhoon F12 unfortunately died on the stage. The one saving grace of that malfunction, it was on a stage where they were disappearing targets, and I'd shot everything apart from the ones that disappeared, so there was no penalty misses. It was just kind of a long time, so it didn't cost me too much, and I was able to fix it. But yeah, we sort of went through the results, and I came second on that. Absolutely delighted, couldn't believe it. So that was really, really cool. Really means a lot to me, that one.
I was going to say, and the purple one there, that's a pretty special one as well.
So this purple one is one which I think a lot of people watching will probably recognise. This is what we call a President's Medal, and it's awarded if you win a level 3 match or above. This was my first President's Medal, and this was in the Scottish Shotgun Championships last year. And
just as a quick interjection, if you're interested in seeing that match and actually seeing Ben in action, head over to Gunroom TV, because there's a full match coverage of there. So if you want to see Ben in action, and Emma as well. Did you shoot that?
I didn't
No,
shoot that one.
No, you just get into it then, weren't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, this was my first match win. And again, absolutely, because I'd wanted one for so long, and I put a lot of effort, a lot of work into it. And it was like when it finally happened for me, I was just really, really pleased. So
that was a very memorable competition, or ending of the competition for you, wasn't it, Conners?
Yeah. I had an interesting malfunction, which was a combination of things, which led to me trying to pump the gun, it not quite pumping, and every time I tried to pump the gun, it dropped a cartridge out of the lift. And then Callum has this beautiful slow motion clip of me essentially carpet bombing this thing, getting to the end. As soon as the magazine's emptied itself, bearing in mind the gun was full when I started. Right. As soon as the magazine's emptied itself, the gun's cycled, I managed to get on reload and actually recover the stage. And
you didn't do too badly on that stage,
still managed a podium, luckily, but I dread to think how I would have done if I hadn't had that malfunction.
But yeah, back onto your trophies. This has to be like the creme de la creme.
Well,
really.
Yeah. So
this one's well earned.
So I had so this one is for the IPSC Open Division Shotgun Championship for 2019, which I was fortunate to win.
This is when you do all of the UK PSA competitions, you take your best 4. Was it this year or 3? I think it was 3 because there were only 5 matches.
3 out of 5. Yeah. Yes, it was 3 out of 5. Yeah.
So they take your best 3 matches this year. Last year it was 4.
Yeah.
And the highest scoring person wins. And for this year in Open, it was Ben. So well done.
But also not forgetting that.
Yep.
Also Emma, you were Open Shotgun Ladies Champion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also Open Ladies Mini Rifle Champion as well.
Yeah.
So 2 well.
So technically,
champions.
she's won 2 championships. He's only won 1.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You need to step up your game.
I know. I need to try a bit harder. I don't think I'm competitive enough. That's what my problem is, realistically. Yeah. Yep. So yeah.
Cool.
So I got a comment from James Nixon. Oh God, what's this going to be?
Oh my goodness.
I thought they were ideal for left-hand handlers and shooting.
I think
from
he's
bench.
talking about the Vector. Let's just,
The Vector.
ignore Jim. He has no useful input anyway. unless it comes down to booking someone with Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, he's excellent at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
perfect.
Media team Wi-Fi.
Oh,
of course.
yeah. Was this Sweden?
Yeah. Jim.
Yeah.
I can't find any Wi-Fi here. Well, I didn't check. What do you mean you didn't check? We're the media team. Anyway, love you, Jim.
James Nixon has left the stream.
Yeah, he's probably got no Wi-Fi.
Sorry, buddy.
But-
Savage.
So obviously we've got some of the trophies here from you, but I just want to get from both of you your own. What for yourselves was the single biggest achievement in your shooting career so far? Which may not be, I could imagine it might be this here, but aside the trophies,
Single biggest achievement.
the one that is just like that's the one that it might be
What
earlier
about
on or.
Rifle King?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Do you want to go grab the hat?
Yeah.
Go grab the hat.
Where's the hat?
What? Are you got it right there?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
Costume change.
on. So this was pretty cool. No, to be fair, that was actually that's
Is
a
there
good shot.
any footage? Do you have any video?
I've got a photograph.
I didn't transfer those.
Oh, okay.
Only
Yeah.
video.
In that case, no.
You
Okay.
start.
Unfortunately, I don't. So what this was, it was at Rock Castle, and it was around March 2019, I think. And so this is a 3-gun match held at Rock Castle in Kentucky, and it's run by a guy called Bruce Davidson, and he is an absolute evil genius when it comes to putting the stages together. Yep. He doesn't run a prize table because the match is the prize, okay? Because everything there is absolutely awesome. It was, how many stages was it? 6 stages over 2 days or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So there was, but each stage is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So we're talking 5-minute par times, and you do use the entire 5 minutes. There's a good percentage of people will time out on those stages. Well, as part of the entertainment that he runs, he also puts on these side matches, and so there was one for Pistol King, PCC King, Shotgun King, and Rifle King. And the way that they would work, so the shotgun one, for example, there was just like a set of plates, and I think the ammo started.
Alright,
like,
shooters
in the
ready!
chest. So you have to sort of like open the chest, load your gun, shoot the targets. Fastest time is going to be the winner. So that they get the patch. So that's what everyone's trying to sort of get hold of. Yeah. And then the person that comes in 22nd place, they would get the gun. So that would be like the main prize. Someone would get to win a gun. Someone would get to win I think the shotgun was on offer. There's some really cool prizes for people that came in 22nd place, and they were raising money for Mission 22, who's a sort of veteran suicide charity based in the States. So the one that I was in.
What is the match that's being shown here? Just
that there in the background. That actually is a stage from. Where's that from? That is from Rock On, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a tobacco barn. This is a really fun stage. So in a minute I'll come back to this one in a minute. But in a minute on this video, you're going to see this is a helping match. So like I said, there's no prize table. The match is the prize, and the idea is that people will help each other. So if you come across a problem, then one of your buddies can help to fix it. So at the moment, it looks like I'm just exiting the truck at the minute. So I'm going to run across the road here, and I'm going to grab my pistol. Now this pistol wasn't entirely assembled correctly. I'm not going to point fingers and say by who, but you can see that I'm having a couple of malfunctions here. So yeah, in a minute there's a guy called Mark Roth who is ROing me, and he's going to give me a bit of a hand, because like I said, helping match, you can lend equipment, you can do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we'll just let that play out for a sec. Have we got audio on this?
I think so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you're having a particularly good time there with the gun.
No.
Do you know what was the problem at the time?
Yeah, the recoil's been backwards. So we solved it out. Yeah, we solved it late on that day. But I'm like, yeah, this is just not happening. So over my shoulder comes now. Do you want to drop and I'm like, right? Yeah. So somebody sort that out for me. Yeah, there we go. The rules are a bit different in the States. It's, yeah.
Oh, it's just like
this is different.
You need to do more
IPSC.
wanking.
Rather than pin down the rules and regulations by IPSC, these are matches that are, dare I say, more fun to shoot, more interesting to shoot. Like whilst IPSC is good if you want to be competitive, if you're looking for something that an experience and something that you're never going to forget for the rest of your life.
This bit's funny in a minute. I'll finish off this array. I'll drop my take a high value target. I'm like, that's not going to fit the pouch. Yeah, somebody take that. and then off we go again. So yeah, I'll just let that play out in the background. I'll finish off the rifle story.
Yeah, so you're talking about the
so rifle kit. So the way that one worked, we went out to an area called Red Barn. We've got targets at sort of like 50, 100, 150, 200 with our IPSC rifles to shoot at. And the way it works is that everyone from HQ pays $5 or whatever it was for entry. You have mag in, rackets, you've got 1 round, drop the mag, point low ready at the ground, and then on a buzzer you've got 2 seconds to come up and then shoot and hit a target at 50 yards. If on the first one you missed, you can actually go around and pay to buy back in again. Once everyone that wants to pass at 50 is passed, it then steps up to 100, and now you're into sudden death. So if you miss at 100, you're gone. So I missed at 50, I brought back in, and then I hit. I went back round. By this time, probably half the people I think had dropped out. We went on to 100. Amazingly, I hit 100 with my first shot. Again, a lot of people dropped out. It came round to I think it was 150 we ended up. It was either 150 or 200 that we finished at. But somebody said to me, it's like you and one other guy, and I'm like, you're actually joking me. You're actually joking. So it did take a long time. I think we each had probably in the region of 10 shots or so. I went first, and so I came up and I missed, and then he came up and he missed, and I came up and I missed. It sort of went back and forth. And there's quite a crowd of people. Unfortunately, I knew that my buddies were stood behind me, but they're very good and they're very quiet. They didn't call out. I think they would have put me off otherwise. But as it was, eventually I hit the shot. The thing goes down. It's like the fella says, he went first, do I get a go? I'm like, oh, of course. So he comes up, he whiffs his shot, and I'm like, so then there's a picture of Bruce like grabbing my arm and holding it up, and so I got the patch, and so yeah, that was really cool, actually, really cool. That's actually where that forehand came from. So that match was actually sponsored by Iron City Rifle Works. So shout out to them. They provided forehand as part of the prize. So yeah, so that's brilliant. That's where that came from. Yeah.
Again, that's an experience you're never going to forget, essentially.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah. And Emma, what's your single largest achievement or greatest achievement so far in your shooting career?
Again, in States. Yeah. Completing Blue Ridge 3-gun last year was a huge achievement. I was amazed I actually got through it all, because it was what I was doing the whole year was basically just trying to train for that. So.
It's a hard match, right?
It's probably, I think everyone was telling me when I said, this is my first 3-gun match, everyone was saying to me, what?
You're not like starting at the bottom and working up, you're going to...
Exactly. You probably started at the hardest 3-gun match.
Well, you got through it.
Yeah. I got through it, 3 days. Is it 3 stages a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 stages a day. And it was,
here we go. This is
hard work.
Yeah. So this is the match. This is...
Yes.
And look at all the gear. And you're saying about carrying your heavy guns. And you've got everything on there. That's incredible.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, this stage here, that was hard. It was shooting pistol one-handed.
Carrying an ammo can.
Carrying an ammo can.
With your rifle on your back.
Rifle on your back, because then you had to pick up the shotgun.
Yeah.
So then picking up the shotgun, and then this one was a mixed ammo stage.
Okay.
So for us, I decided to work it, so I've got a mag for each port. So I think it's 2 slugs, and then move on, 2 slugs, and the next one move on. So you've got to make sure you're hitting those slug targets, and then going straight on to the next ones. So it's in each port, and then dumping the shotgun, and then unsing the rifle, and then you've got long range on the rifle as well.
So after all that, getting the heart rate up is down to long range.
They normally hit with a long range rifle.
Almost all of them was a long range rifle.
You did really well. You did a nice clean rifle stage. I think I can see on screen here you've just dumped your shotgun, you're unsinging your rifle now, and you're going to the first position for the long range rifles.
So this is the breathe slow everything down and get your breath back.
Yeah, I did miss one whole window though. I
That's
went so
Don't tell anybody that.
But I did hit all the other ones pretty much in the. So for the slants, I hit them first time on those ones, so that was quite good.
So having not done much proper three gun myself, I do wonder: is it these 3 stages or 6 stages a day? Because there's such big long stages, are they all like memory games? No. Or are a lot of them quite linear?
No, I think John actually also shoots a lot of 3 gun in the States, and he's a big fan of Andy's matches. Essentially, the way it starts is you start at A, continue to Z, and shoot at everything that you see along the way. So generally speaking, the matches that Bruce put on are not terribly complicated. The ones that Andy puts on are probably a little bit more technical, still challenging, but sort of in a different way, I would have said.
Yeah, the problem was you'd walk around the stages on one day, next day you walk around the stage before you'll go. Yeah. Then when you go around, you're like, where's that gone? Because the sun's come through, there's a leaf, there's a tree, it's like, where's that target gone? You can't see it, and so you're just like...
And you both do a lot of IPSC and 3 gun. Like two questions. What do you find is the biggest difference between the two? And how do you then train and switch between the IPSC mode and the 3 gun mode?
Yeah, I think my difficulty was angles. Because you're going through, terrain, you're going through woods, you're turning around, you're going this way, you're going that way, and I'm like, where am I pointing now? With IPSC, it's very standard. You've got your bay. This is the angles. You know where you're going. But yeah, for some of these, you're going through woods, round here, back, and I'm like, hang on, but there's the car park's back there, and you turn around, and there was some which was a bit more straightforward, but there were a couple which is like, as long as you're not pointing straight back that way, you're fine. And it's like, that was one of the things that really struggled to get my head around.
Okay.
But
So how does it work with safety angles out there? Are there posts or are there no safety angles?
Well, no. Obviously there are safety angles, but they don't tend to be posts. Okay, it tends to be there's the road, don't shoot your buddies, right? And you are playing very much a grown-ups game. Okay, so one of the distinctions that I found on this was at my first Blue Ridge, you had a shotgun stage, so you shoot shotgun, make that safe dump it, then you'd on holster pistol shoot that. You then had the option to either dump a safe pistol, which means either hot but safety on, or drop the mag and rack it and then put it in the bucket, or you could hot holster it if you wanted. So you could clip the safety on, pop it back in your holster, and in your final rifle position you're going to be prone. Okay, so if you think about where the RO and the patches are stood, but if you don't like the rules of the game, don't play the game, was kind of the message that I received on that. There's nobody making you go there. It's not unsafe. It's no more unsafe than people that are, I guess, carrying, just generally speaking, in America. The safety's on, it's in a holster. There's no reason why that gun's going to fire at that point in time. So that's basically what keeps you safe. Massively different from IPSC. It's a completely different world. So I think, as Emma says, trying to get your head around the way that the safety rules work is huge. But there is a little bit less guidance. So but it is still kept safe. So for example, there's stages where you end up shooting in a full 360. So that one that we showed the video of, that was at a place called Cowboy Town, and you can shoot a full 360 on that because of the design of the terrain around there. You could actually sort of shoot around in a circle. Where are the people? Where are the people in the middle? So that's how that works. So all the rest of the squad stands in the centre whilst you go around the edge.
Oh right. Wow.
Yeah, there's other bits like it's very common. So there's an area called Thunder Valley. So there's a big sort of road that sort of goes off, and typically it's got 5 stages. They all tend to be on the left as you drive in, but they'll have woods on the left, a big field on the right, and what you tend to have would be maybe shotgun pistol on the left hand side, and your long range rifles on the right. So what would happen? In fact, I think it was on the video of me just a moment ago earlier. You would shoot your shotgun and pistol. Run across the road. You can unsling your rifle, but you can't load your rifle until you hit the grass on the other side of the road. Then you charge your rifle and go ahead with whatever it is you're doing. And there would be people stopping traffic to prevent the cars coming through.
All over that as you were running through.
Yeah, but
you couldn't help but sweep people.
Guns empty.
There. Well, I know. I realise if you watch it, there's people standing here.
Right.
You're unslinging it. Running. I'm like, whoa!
It's a stick. So this is it's an empty pipe at that point in time. Okay, so and this is how they treat it, and I understand it's completely different from how it tends to work at most UK ranges, and indeed for IPSC. But at that point, the gun's been checked empty and you're not going to load it till you get to the other side, and you don't, and then that's it. So I think so probably the safety transition is probably one of the big things that's different between.
It's got to be challenging for an RO as well, because there's going to be a lot of judgment calls made there as well whilst you're shooting. But also, I suppose a lot of allowances made because you're not being tied down to like a strict rule set.
Well, I've always, having shot a bit of 3-gun and IPSC as well, I compare the two between NASCAR and Formula 1. NASCAR is a bit rough and ready, you go as fast as you can, whereas F1, it's not necessarily the quickest car down the straight, it's the more technical, you take into handling and braking and tyre wear and things like that.
And this is why you're no good at IPSC.
I'm insulted. There's something that has been lurking in the background, which we set up because we were confident that people would ask why someone would have so many magazines.
I think Ben's been sitting in front of it.
Can you see it now?
Slightly.
I think you might just want to highlight there just how large the pile of magazines is.
I'm going to drop these on the floor if I try and pick them up.
But don't.
That's one of the.
Shall we get the trophies?
One of the four piles of magazines behind Ben.
I think I added this up when I was at home, and it was something like 875 rounds of capacity.
Right.
So what's not pictured? We want
Now, the reason why you'd have this many magazines is basically because you miss a lot.
Yeah.
So how many magazines in total do you have?
33.
33, and these are 1522 magazines.
Yeah.
Why do you have so many magazines?
That's a great question.
Can never have enough, right? Is that?
Well, yeah. It's commonly said you can't have too much ammo unless you sort of.
Part of it, I guess, is it because on a Smith your magazine is essentially a consumable part because of the feed lips?
Unfortunately, pretty much. It is one of the weaknesses of these magazines. Unfortunately, is that
one there on it's got the
So you're not going to be able to see it on stream, but anybody that's got a 1522 will recognise this. These two lips at the back here are what stops the round from exiting the magazine. And what will happen over time is that the sort of leading edge of that will wear to the point where the round sort of ends up standing straight up. And so the way that manifests itself on the stage is that you will find yourself getting a click, because what's happened is that the round has stood up, and instead of going into the chamber, it's just stood vertically between the bolt and sort of breech face.
Yeah.
So that is not going to get you a good hit factor. So we don't need that on our matches. So
and all your magazines they're numbered. So this one is Ben 9.
Yeah.
Why do you number them?
In case you get a problem for whatever reason. So, for example, this is probably a little bit nerdy, but I do have a log app on my phone. I use it to keep my shooting log, so I know how many, when I've shot my guns and what matches I've been to, keep a track of that sort of stuff. I also keep a track of when I have malfunctions. What was the malfunction? What was the circumstance? What was the ammo? Which magazine number was it? Because if I end up having, say, magazine number 9 causes me a lot of problems, then magazine number 9 needs to be either taken out of circulation or taken apart to figure out what's wrong with it. So I did used to have them coloured with like big coloured bits of tape on them. I did this on the Typhoon mags. Yeah. The idea being that if I was watching, unfortunately it happens a lot, but if I was watching the video back of where I had the jam on the stage, I'd go, oh, that was the blue one, right, okay, let's have a look at the blue one, because when your buddies pick them up, if they're good buddies, sometimes they'll tell you that's the one you had the jam with, other times they might not be so mindful, in which case you got to try and figure out which was the one that was troublesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Wow. But like touch wood though, these have been pretty good. I do keep a lot of them. The black ones was my first 15 that I bought. They started getting a bit worn. I bought the brown ones because they were cheap. Not because I wanted brown ones, but yeah. It does help you to sort of distinguish between which is the new and the old set. So black is for training, brown is for matches now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And I can see the condition of the brown ones is much better condition than the black ones. I'm guessing the black ones being used for training just get used more.
Yeah, and I've got one of those lightning loader things, and I don't know whether it's right or not. Some people tell me that it causes the mag lips to wear a bit more. I always load my comp mags by hand, just to minimise the amount of load.
I've heard
wear.
Things about them denting the bullet tip as well, or deforming the bullet tip.
I can't say that I've personally noticed that.
Okay.
So I've exclusively use a lightning grip loader for all my Smith mags. I've not noticed any indents on the bullet, and also what I do is with the mag and the loader is I brace the magazine on my chest, or on my rather girthy chest. Put pull the loader down and hold the loader onto the magazine. And what you'll find that does is there's a little sort of finger which sits down and pushes down on top of the magazine or on top of where the rounds go in. And if you've got that all locked in with no slop, then as it feeds the rounds in, they never actually touch the feed lips as they're going in because it's being held down. What they touch once you let off and the next round pops up, but you don't slide backwards along. I think when people are doing it without
maybe I was misusing it then in the past.
But I've noticed that people have damaged their feed lips like that, and I've been using my own mags sacrificially to try and see if I could fix that problem. And I think so far, I mean, we know we've put a lot of rounds through those magazines.
At quick rate as well.
Whether with great purpose or not, we have put a lot of rounds through those magazines, and with that loader, and we haven't got a single sign of wear yet.
No. Well, we've been talking about the mags, and we've been talking about the gun all evening. So maybe it's about time we have a closer look at your rifle, because we've looked at your KL12 and Emma's KL12 as well. Why don't we have a look at your 2.2 mini rifle?
Callum, why don't you take Ben over to the healing bench? And
I really need a wee.
Is this why we're taking a break?
I really need to go to the toilet. So
thunk it with
I've been drinking all evening, so I would be very grateful if Conners could take. Well, why don't you both go over?
Oh, I've got a cat.
Oh,
so it's got to be Conners. Come on,
It's fine. I thought we were going to get into rock paper scissors, to be quite honest.
No, I'll just wee on you. Who's got the keys? No. Is it locked?
Yeah,
okay. So again, if you're new to the stream, you haven't seen it before, Conners and Ben are going to go over to the healing bench. They're going to have a closer look at Ben and Emma's competition gun. This is the mini rifle 2.2 gun. It is a Smith & Wesson 1522. It's been heavily modified and tuned in for competition shooting. So they're going to have a closer look at what makes it a competition gun, what upgrades they have on it and why, and what benefits you get from it. If you have any questions about the gun, about parts on it or parts not on it, then just fire away and we will ask them to Ben and he can answer them for you.
So, as we were saying before, this gun is heavily modified. Now, what constitutes heavily modified on a Smith basically means changing out all the parts that you don't like, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of parts that have been changed out. I mean, what have you got left that's stock? Because this was a performance sensor.
It is a performance sensor.
Sensor. So you've still got the barrel.
Yes.
You've still got the receiver.
Yes.
And the grip's original?
Yeah, grip's original, yeah.
Oh, you got...
That's it.
It's
honestly,
pretty
that
much
probably
stock
is
then,
it.
really, isn't it?
Yeah. So, okay, so the Smith & Wesson 1522 comes in a lot of different versions.
Yep.
So we've got, I think there's this Sport, there's the one that's got the Magport MOE stuff on it, and then there's the Performance Centre one. The Performance Centre was the one that I bought back probably again 6 years ago or so when I first started shooting. The reason why I chose it was because it had the two-stage trigger in, and I had heard that two-stage triggers were nice. They're actually my favourite type of trigger now, for me personally. But that's why I bought it. If I was to buy another one of these and do it again, I probably wouldn't do that, because the only extra benefit I'm getting from having bought this is actually really the 18-inch barrel, because everything else has been more or less changed. So the Performance Centre did have 18-inch fluted, this nice grip, it had nice stock on it, and it had the two-stage trigger, but other than that it was the same. So all of the things that were beneficial more or less have come out now, being a trigger and the stock. Yeah, more or less everything's changed. So what have we got on it? So we've got this, who makes this one? BMS Mill, who makes that? MFT. So this is a minimalist stock. Reason why I've got this one is it's nice and light, and it gives you a lot of space in between the pistol grip and the back of the stock. The reason for that is it means you've got a bit more manoeuvrability. So if you're trying to move the gun around your arm, for example, if you're trying to sort of turn and run or do something else with it, you're less likely to get your arm kind of caught up. I do have some friends that have got slightly more built out type of stocks, and it just, you don't have the same amount of flexibility with that. So I sort of prefer that. Similar to on the KL, this one's adjustable, so both Emma and I can sort of share the gun. Working our way forward then, we've got this charging handle, which I think is a Radian one. I moved to using the Radian charging handles because on the rifle, on the full bore rifle, Emma finds it very difficult to charge that when I only had it on one side. So we bought a Radian for the 223, which has got sort of slicked up inside. It's made of, I don't know what the coating is they put on it, but it makes it a bit easier to pull. So I thought cross training, we'll get the same one for this. Obviously ambidextrous, so that could be helpful in some circumstances. I'm still running this 90-degree safety at the moment. The reason why I've got that is because this is the same as what I've got on my 223. It's very positive action and it's just what I'm used to. I'm going to start having a look at this mag. Who makes it again?
Me.
Magload, that's it.
Just to interject, we do have a question from Aaron asking, apart from the weight, is there any other advantages from the 1522 over other mini rifles that are available for competition?
Reliability, I think.
Only reliability,
and
really.
That said, there are quite a few very reliable mini rifles out there, such as the Chris, and the Tippmann has been exceptionally reliable as well. I mean, of course, like Chris and the Smith are top of that pecking order, but you know, the Tippmann is also one to consider. But what other reasons are there? Anything you can think of?
I mean, there's a lot of bits available for it. You know, so there's more bits coming out for the others as well.
Yeah, so something along the likes of the Tippmann, you'll find it's very, very difficult to drop in an aftermarket trigger, aftermarket safety, or something like that, because they are they're not mil spec, as it were. So you will have to buy Tippmann owned or Tippmann specific parts, which Magload is making. So don't you worry about that. But certainly with the Chris or the Smith, the world is your oyster, because they are out and out ARs, and you can drop anything AR onto them. Yeah,
that's AR, that's AR, that's AR. Yeah, so the things that aren't AR, I suppose, with the charging handle, because obviously that's slightly different.
Charging handle specific.
But the other stuff pretty much just goes straight in, trigger, safety, all the rest of it. That's an AR4N, so we got a conversion up to make that thing fit.
So Black Rifle sell the conversions so you can fit a traditional AR-15 handguard onto your Smith. It's just a collar, really, isn't it, that it just clamps around. It mimics the Delta ring.
Yeah, the one that I've got actually came from Tactical 22 in the States, and it's basically a replacement barrel nut. And it's basically threaded on the inside to fit Smith and threaded on the outside with the standard AR barrel nut thread. So then you can connect your adapter plate for your specific handguard to that, and then clamp it down. So that's how that one went together for me. So continuing forward, then we've got nice trigger. I get asked quite a lot about triggers. I don't know why that is, but there is a video, I can't show it unfortunately, but there's a particular stage that I did down at Worcester.
That'll be why you get asked a lot about triggers.
I think I sold about 3 or 4 AR golds just off the back of that video, but this was a stage that required 4 shots in each of 3 IPSC targets as quick as you can. I did that, and a lot of people thought it was quite a cool video, so it's like, it's quite a good cadence. But what I will say, a nice, good quality trigger is probably like a bare minimum you want to really have, but whether it's 2-stage or single stage or almost like 1.5 stage, which is what the AR Gold sort of describes itself as, that's really a 2-stage trigger. It's just got very, very light first stage. I really love those triggers. I'm actually trying out the Hyperfire at the moment. That's actually what's in there today. But yeah, I think a lot of it's personal preference. As long as it makes it go bang, it's what you're used to.
Yes, absolutely.
I personally like the AR Gold because you have that little bit of take up, so you know that you're at the wall, and then just come straight through, and it's got a very short sort of reset.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing when you're trying to go fast, is actually having a short reset, but it can't be too light, because otherwise you get the trigger freeze, which is obviously something to be aware of. A lot of people tune in their triggers, try to make them as light as possible, and you end up essentially holding the trigger down and not going anywhere. But the AR Gold has got a really nice, it's not, I'm not going to say that it's an exceptionally positive reset.
No, there are stronger ones,
like the CMC, you really hear it go
and push you off.
But actually, with a bit of practice on it, it's quite a rapid trigger. Even I find myself speeding up a little bit. Not quite in the same league as you, of course. But
another question from Aaron on the same subject of weight: is there any advantage to having a heavier rifle in competition?
Sometimes there can be. So it depends on how strong you are. So like I said, running around with one hand, that was really good. Again, there was a stage at Froome. Okay, sorry, I don't have the videos for this one, but basically you had to start the box, and the magazine was over there, and the gun was over here, and so the way they briefed that stage, the gun just had to be on the table. It didn't say what has to be here; it just had to be on the table, not on the floor. So I was able to basically balance it approximately. How far will it go? Like that. So it was quite convenient. So having such a sort of heavy forend on this one actually kind of helped on that one particular. It's a very, very niche use case.
I think that would be a bit much to like tech your guns.
I wouldn't suggest that at all. But that's just a side benefit. The main thing I would say about having a slightly heavier gun is that it will just naturally mitigate the recoil more. I mean, 22s don't recoil all that much, but even so, it just won't move. It won't move at all.
The other thing as well is a heavy gun is going to dampen oscillations, sort of general muscle tremors and that sort of thing. So especially for longer range shooting, you'd probably want a heavier gun. If you're talking about shooting at centerfire calibers, then certainly having mass up the front of the gun is going to help mitigate recoil as well. It make it softer and keep the muzzle down more as well.
And someone's pointed out that that's the same red dot that you have on the KL12.
Yep.
Why that red dot, and what about it has made you choose it?
I think I've got like, I forget how many. It's either 4 or 5. I forget. But this is the Vortex Razor. This one is 3 MOA. So I've got a couple of 6 MOA ones that I use on the shotguns. I use a 3 MOA on the rifle because I want that smaller, sort of tighter point of aim. Vortex do 3 different red dots. They do a Vortex Razor, which is this one, which is the kind of top of the line one. Then they also do the Venom and the Viper. So I've got a Viper on my pistol. The Viper is basically designed for a pistol because it's much lower profile, but it has the disadvantage that you have to remove it from the gun in order to change the battery, whereas the Venom is more rifle oriented because it sits slightly higher, but you can actually access the battery through the top. The way the Razor, you change the batteries, it's in the side. So again, massive advantage on this one is that you can change the battery without having to dismount or then re-zero the dot. So that's really helpful. The other thing that I've done with this one is I've put it on a quick release. So over on the table, can you grab us the rifle scope, somebody that's on the table? So whilst we did talk earlier about are you going to customise your gun to a specific stage, probably not. Okay, so you're not going to fit a heavy forend because you don't want to fall off the table. But you might go to a match where you say, well, actually, I know that this particular match is going to be indoors. Everything's going to be sort of maximum sort of 40 metres. Do you need a scope for that, or do you want to be able to run fast? I might know the match director. I might know that typically he wants us to be able to run around. So therefore, having a red dot, something that's going to be nice, light, quick, might be the optimal thing that you want to have. Yeah, there's another one there. Yeah, I told you I've got a few of these things. Or you might be going to a stage where you know it's going to be run with micro targets that might be a bit further away, and therefore you might want to be able to run some magnification. So I've got a quick release, so I can just take that one off, and then I've got this. So Warner's put this mount together, and you can see that it's got a nice long mounting surface on here. And that means that you're more likely to be able to return to an accurate zero, whereas if it had only a short base, it's less likely that you're going to get the perfect zero once again. So that helps. It's got the quick release lugs on the side here, so it's a matter of moments to swap these things over. And this configuration, with it having the offset rod built in, means that I can drop this on, set this to, well, this is a Viper PST, it's a 1:4, so I can put this one on, set that to 4 power, and then also run the red dot at 45. So I have the advantage of both a red dot for fast acquisition of targets at short range, as well as having the little bit extra zoom for those longer range ones, and I can just make the choice depending on which match I go to. Now, to be clear, you can't change these halfway through a match.
No,
that will not be allowed. But you can come to the match, and before you go to equipment check, have a look around the stages, decide which one you want, put it on, and off you go.
I mean, that's it. In a match, it's what you present at equipment check has to be the same loadout or setup you run for the rest of the match. Of course, there are allowances made for something breaking and you replacing or substituting like for like. You couldn't then substitute in a red dot for a telescopic sight. Yeah. Of course, you have some other goodies.
Other bits and pieces, yeah. Sorry. So we nearly got to the important bit, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so we've got trigger. So nice trigger on there. We've got this extended bolt release. So again, so if you've got
so this is one that's made specifically for the
Smith.
Yeah.
So Magpul makes these as well. They do the bad lever. This one again was made by Tactical 22, and it's because the geometry around this part of the trigger guard is slightly different on the Smith & Wesson versus a mil-spec AR. But it means that if you've got an option 3 start, or if you shot to empty and got bolt lock, put a new magazine on, and then you can press this with your index finger to close the bolt. And it means that instead of having to put the mag on, then press the button, and then put your hand forward, you can do those two actions simultaneously. So the mag goes in, and the bolt closes as your hand comes forward. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've got a short stage, you know, like an option 3 start stage,
a quarter of a second can make all the difference.
It can, it genuinely can. We've then got this, which is a extended magazine release button. So this one's made by Magload. So this one, it's really good for me because it means that I'm less likely to miss this button. But you can see that my hand is big enough that I can actually reach to there. Emma, on the other hand, she's got slightly smaller hands than me, so it means that she can actually reach and operate that mag release catch much more reliably without having to break a grip. It's one of the things we found that when she was shooting pistol, where she's having to operate the mag release with her thumb, she'd have to kind of jump the gun to sort of get her hand a bit further around so she could reach that button. Same thing on this, she doesn't need to do that now, she can just reach. So that's really cool. And then we've got these things, so probably a lot of people have seen these around the place already. This is the Magload Magwell, which I did have a little bit of input into, which is why we've got these big wedges taken out here.
But actually, you had a lot of input into that. Let's not beat about the bush here.
Do you want to go and grab us a drum bag?
Yeah. So we've got a drum bag coming. I almost call it a D60.
A D60. It's not quite a D60. This one will hold 50 rounds of 22.
Yep.
So whilst the limit for an IPSC match is going to be 30 rounds in the mag, and you make the extended base pads to take you up from the standard 25 to 30, this holds 50. So if you're at an outlaw match or an NRA match or a club match that doesn't run those restrictions, you can run 50 rounds if you want. The problem might be if you had a magwell that came all the way down the side, this is not going to fit. As I found out to my cost, it was it 2 years ago or so?
Yeah, I think
it was at an NRA match, and I just fitted a 3D printed magwell, not made by Magload at that point in time, and I found myself in the back of the car with a selection of sharp implements, just rapidly chiselling like a big sort of notch in the side of it so I could get the thing to fit. But you don't want to find out on the line it doesn't fit. So these have been designed so that will, seat in and absolutely perfect, and then comes out.
It's actually come a bit of an aesthetic feature now for the Magload Magwells because we've got even, I want to say the Tipman, despite me modifying 1522 drum mags to fit, there isn't technically a drum mag that fits out there, but we kept the cutouts for the aesthetics whilst we built that in. And even for the mil-spec Magwells, so the mil-spec Magwells don't actually fit the D60 drum mags.
No, that's right. Yeah, I found that out.
But we kept the cutouts because, and again, it's become an iconic part of what our magwells are. So, right, that's us done over here. We're going to head back over to Callum and Emma on the table.
Cool. Welcome back, guys. I do want to hand over to Emma quickly because you saw somebody had joined the stream that you want to give a shout out to.
Yes, we want to say a big hello to our friend over in the States, Scott Green. Thank you for watching.
He was online earlier, wasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. We have your t-shirt
I channeled Scott's spirit at the Coats of Iron match this year. That was my second win of the season, and I do have some videos from that one. There's one with the big swingers from.
That was a cracking match.
That was a good stage. Yes, some really fun stage of that match. So I had that shirt on, and definitely channeling the spirit on that one. So yes, thank you, Scott, for that.
So just so people don't think that you've gone off and robbed someone's shirt.
No, we haven't stolen his t-shirt.
Why didn't you explain why you have the shirt and where that comes from?
Yeah, so we caught up with Scott at the Rifle World Champs in Sweden last year, which I think is where you got his t-shirt from then.
Yeah, so it's a
tradition at the end of the match
that
you'll
find
some friends
t-shirts.
and
So we've got Scott Green, we've got a couple of the other friends over in the States as well. So it's a really nice tradition to be able to switch.
Well, it's an experience, isn't it? And a lasting memory of the time that you spent out there and the people you spent it with.
Exactly. You meet people from all over the world that you would never meet otherwise. We've made so many friends. It's amazing.
Filming the events, actually, towards the end of the week, usually the last day, it becomes very, very difficult to actually film the right people. Like, because we were going for the British team, and we'll see someone running down a stage with a GB top on, and we're like, oh. Wait, they're not part of the team. So everyone switches, and of course you've all got your names on, which is great for the sort of the communal aspect because it means the European Handgun Championships. I know that there were 1,200 competitors there, so you have 1,200 people. You're not going to know everyone, but they're all wearing their shirts, so you can at least approach them with their name. Again, towards the end of the competition, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But fantastic tradition, and one that again I think really emphasises the communal aspect of the sport.
World shoots are brilliant.
Yeah, international IPSC competitions throughout. It's a long-lasting tradition that's been around for years. It's just something that's done.
So one thing that I did want to sort of finish up on, because we have hit the 2-hour mark, and I'm sure the team working tirelessly behind the camera would like a break now. Of course, being successful shooters, which you are, there's a lot of support from companies, and you are both sponsored shooters. So I just want to give you the chance to sort of talk about the sponsors that you have and the support that you have with them, and also what, as a sponsored shooter, you give back to those companies.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to say thank you to everybody that's on the shirt here. Yeah. So just running down what we've got. So Calibre Innovations was one of the first companies to actually sort of make me a very generous offer of sponsorship, and it was probably what 3 years ago now. Yeah, I've been with Calibre for a long time now. They have got a lot of very good products out there. So the Sysguard rifles, I know it's probably one of the ones that they're sort of best known as producing. They've also got the new bowl targets, so these are those reactive indoor targets. So if you want reactive targets but you can't shoot steel, new bowl targets are the way to go.
We've got a plate rack of new bowl targets, and actually we've given it a proper battery. It's still standing up. We had someone put a round through one of the hinges, and it's still going strong.
And we shot it with shotgun, even the 4570 Marlin, which is up on the wall. Some really powerful rounds, and they stood up.
The hole closed right up behind it.
Yeah, they're like self-healing things. They're apparently the Royal Marines use them as well for training.
Yeah,
so I'm told. So they've got a lot of good stuff. We've also got Ely Limited, so they produce some cracking 22 ammo, and they're really getting behind the sport of action shooting now. So Emma is now a sponsor shooter as of 2020, which is really cool.
Fantastic, congratulations.
But they're doing a lot of stuff to support the sport. We've got the Ely Speed Steels Challenge, which has been run again for 2020. Lots of prize money on offer for that one.
It's probably the biggest UK speed steel match there is.
They had speed steel legend Kurt Grimes come down, who actually purposely built a 2011 long barrel pistol.
I'm not going to say it's a 2011. He kind of took a 2011 and
butchered it.
he sort of put a gun on top of a gun. Yeah. It was a monstrosity, but he came over and shot it, and I think he did.
I believe there's a number of people that were propositioning him for orders.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, but you should have seen the amount of work that went into making it. Absolutely unreal.
Well, actually, on his profile, he's got like a whole series of videos of where he's making the machining and turning down barrels to fit.
And the comment section is brilliant because it's a load of Americans going, "Why the hell do you have
Why are you doing this?
Yeah, and what's that rod? Is that to hang it up on?
I mean, you call it a coat hanger. Is that like how it goes in the safe? Not quite.
Scott Ely, Warn as well.
Warn. So I want to say massive thank you to Warren. So for sorting me out with the mounts on the Vortex I was showing you over there. They do really good stuff. So we actually brought the rifle I normally shoot in the States, was brought across to Sweden. So it's travelled I don't know how many thousand miles that is. Been looked after by a good friend of mine on the way, but held zero. Okay, we took out to zeros, checked it. Yeah, works fine. Shot a match. I'll finish top Brit at that match. So I think that's testament to the fact that that's a mount that's going to work. And I do take this quite seriously, a little bit maybe too seriously, but I wouldn't run it if I didn't think it was the right stuff. So it gives me an option to run dot or scope. So what more could you want?
But good scope mounts are not cheap. And good scope mounts are worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
It's like tyres for your car. There's no point having the most powerful car in the world if you can't put the power down to the ground. And that is the only thing connecting your gun to your scope is that mount. And actually spending money on a decent mount is worth.
Maybe another story for another time. But Chicago Customs take great interest in optic mounts.
Right. Okay.
But anyway,
really? I don't know
who's the other guy. Who's this other company as well?
There's no other company worth mentioning. I think that's it, really, isn't
it? No. Genuinely, Conners has been superb. The amount of support that I get, and the amount of one of the things that I think is really good about working with Magload. It's not working for Magload or him working for me. It's actually talking about products that are genuinely developed by shooters for shooters. That makes a huge difference. So, for example, when we're talking about developing that magwell, so that you can run a drum mag, okay? That's something that I asked for on it, we got that. When we were looking at putting these mag bases together, and we said, well, should it be a +5? I said, well, actually, why don't you make it a +6? Because then you can do put 31 in close, and you've got 30 +1. I'm sure you've had lots of other positive feedback from your other sponsor shooters in terms of development of your shotgun caddies and things. So I know we've got another couple of sort of secret squirrel projects that we haven't talked about just yet, but there's watch this space. There's going to be a lot of cool Magload stuff coming in 2020. So really looking forward to that.
And a shameless plug: if you are interested in any of the Magload gear you've seen tonight, head over to magload.co.uk. It's all available there.
Having Ben as part of Team Magload has been invaluable because the shooting experience he brings to the table and the competitive head that you wear when you're looking at a product and actually analysing it for marginal gains as well as for like general use is great. And I've been really happy to have you on the Magload team for the last year. But I do also want to make a warm welcome to the newest addition to the Magload team.
Thank you.
Emma.
I'm
really happy to have you on board. We're going to have to keep it under wraps right now under what the sponsorship entails. But hopefully we should be saying
watch this space.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes, I'm very happy to have joined Team Magload. Absolutely.
That's right. We still need a photo and a bio and a tenth of your earnings paid in photos.
It sounds like a religion.
Well, it might as well be at this point.
Absolutely.
That's what shooting's all about, right?
Yeah. So I think we are. Just a quick thing, Ricardo. Magload Action Air Accessories. Watch this space.
Definitely watch this space. If you know who Paul Wyborn is, he is currently doing his work experience here with us at Magload, and there are more than a couple of ideas being thrown about. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
before we go, I just want to say a really warm hi to my dad who has just joined the stream. How you doing?
It's all a family affair here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have hit the 2-hour mark. I think it's time for people to go to bed or do whatever they want to do at this time of the evening. But I think it's been a fantastic stream. A big thank you to both Ben and Emma for coming and putting up with us for 2 hours. I think your wealth of knowledge has really helped people sort of understand the international shooting scene a little better even. Just a quick ask of anybody still watching, please hit that like button, hammer the analytics and get these videos going and sharing the sport as much as we can. But thank you all to you for tuning in and hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, it's going to be every single week now from 7:30 on a Thursday.
Wish us luck.
Wish us luck, yeah.
And lots of monster.
So you're going to be able to join us here next Thursday at 7:30. And as I said, it may or may not have Paul Wyborn or other members of the Wyborn family for that stream. But again, big thank you to Conners, Emma and Ben for the stream and for all of you lot joining in. I think we will stop it there. So we will see you next time, guys. Thank you very much for joining in and we hope to see you soon.